or sound. You can't hear it.
We
Push
are.
that button in. I don't know. Volume is low.
Okay, Diane, we're live now.
You have to push it in.
Diane, hang on. Welcome everyone to the meeting of the Historic District Commission. It is 5:01, I believe, on Tuesday, July 6th, 2021.
It's got to be returned.
President
I never ordered.
or Jesse Dutra. Welcome back, Val Oliver, myself, Ray Cole, John McLaughlin, Stephen Welch, Kerry Thornwell, and out there on Zoom is Diane Coombs. Abby is showing up shortly. So first order of business is to approve tonight's agenda. Any modifications before we do? Okay, so can somebody give me a motion to?
I make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Diane. So on the motion, Val? Aye. John? Aye. I'm gonna pull in you, Jesse. On the motion. Aye. Diane, on your motion?
Yes, aye.
I'm in favor, and by the way, I won't be needing to do that much more tonight, but, all right, so the motion carries. Is there any public comment at this time?
I'll be back, all right?
Hearing none, we will move along to the consent portion of the agenda, which is 10 items. Let's see. Val, you need to recuse, correct? Yes. Carrie, you need to recuse. Anybody else? Looks like no.
Motion to approve consent items.
Okay. Just a matter of form. Do I have to establish the order before I just say all in favor?
Yes. you
I-
should.
I do.
Yeah, because
Yeah, okay, so with Carrie and Val both being accused, Jesse, you're on, Stephen. And Diane, on. Okay, so say that motion, you did.
Jesse did.
Jesse made the motion to approve consent. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Consent with conditions, 2 items. No one needs to recuse. So it's almost a regular board. Let's do, Carrie, since you weren't on the last one, you can be on this. My motion,
Make a motion to approve number 1, 8 Creek Lane.
how about both of them?
Both of them. I make a motion to do 8 Creek Lane and 105 Tom Nevers Road.
Very good, thank you. All in favor of Diane's motion? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, now on to new business.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
I believe you do a roll call vote, because you have one member of the vote to voting access.
Okay,
Just for future.
future or do that now?
Well, okay.
Okay, so, hey, Diane?
Yep.
We're gonna do a roll call vote on that. Okay, so Val on the motion,
Aye.
Diane on the motion,
Aye.
Harry on the motion,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
and I'm in favor. And you're in favor of your motion. Okay, so there it is. Okay, new business housing Nantucket. Who's here to represent? Matthew? I guess so it is. Okay. Let's see. All the regular boards on this. So right now, number's 4. We're gonna need 1 associate member on. Where's the rotation? Stephen? Okay, Stephen's on.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah,
I would just like to state for the record that I am not in a butter and think that I know I can be fair and impartial in review. So I am in the general vicinity of this project. but I just wanted to disclose that for the record.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Steve.
Some concept. Project. Start ready, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, so Matt, are you gonna give us like a general overview before you start into the official application that we're doing?
Yeah, I think that would be helpful. And so the packet I just passed out is essentially just some background information, some of the inspirational imagery, sketches, concept ideas for this development. So obviously it's a housing development, and it's probably best to start with the overall site, which you can actually see in the handout that I've given you. What I think is important to point out is that these lots are all actually, each of these structures sits on its own separate lot. And so it is compliant. It's got a primary dwelling, a secondary dwelling, and a tertiary. And so theoretically, these all sit on their own independent lots. The planning board did bless subdivision plan, if you will, but it is a bit unique in that all the parking is concentrated, where it is, and there's a large open green space that sits on Fairgrounds Road. So the reason I tell you that is that in some ways the footprints were predetermined, not the footprints, but the actual building envelopes of the sites were predetermined. And so this was the result, I think, of a lot of back and forth. Yeah, closer. So the planning board reviewed this twice, actually. When it came to me, it actually had a slightly different parking configuration. It had a little bit of a radius form to it. And I kind of pushed to kind of clean it, basically just square it up so that the structures could all sit essentially on a parallel plane, if you will. As far as the overall concept for this, we've got 22 units, I think, total, somewhere in that range. Yeah, so it's 22 units. The key is how to make it not look like one large massive block, but then also have the structures tell somewhat of a story. And so in the information packet that we give you is, again, supplemental information. Some of the inspiration for some of the detailing on the structures that you'll begin to see are based on the fact that there was a fairground across the road, basically, I think on this property that we're sitting in now. And try to use some of that imagery to help inform the architecture, but primarily to make sure that we weren't taking one archetype or one architectural style and repeating it throughout all the buildings. So we wanted to tell, to what extent we could, somewhat of a story with the buildings. And part of that is this agricultural use or kind of a play on a fairground, if you will. And so you'll see that some of the buildings, oh, hey, where are you? But you're tapping me to like, stop talking. So that's part of the inspiration. So you'll see as these buildings are coming in, basically the buildings are numbered 1 through 8. They're technically connected by a breezeway, but each building is supposed to essentially be represented as if it's one larger building. So we kind of broken this up into 4 separate buildings. As they come into you, they'll come in 2 at a time. We are in a little bit of a time crunch. And so we wanted to, as they're being finalized and developed, we want to get them in front of you as soon as possible. So with that, the 2 buildings that are before you today are what we're calling building 1 and 2. They are connected by a breezeway, but only by a breezeway. And you'll find that that's a little bit of a consistent theme throughout the project. And one of the reasons for that is by pulling the buildings apart, it allows for more fenestration, more windows, because we do have a pretty dense program in each lot. Again, we have a primary dwelling, secondary dwelling, and a tertiary. There are also some general requirements in terms of like combinations of 3 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, and then the tertiaries are obviously 1 bedroom structures. So it was a little bit of a puzzle to try and kind of put all these room counts to have it, come together in some cohesive package. So it was a little bit complex. And finally, these are all modular. So another little challenge there. So anyways, going back to buildings 1 and 2. The idea behind these buildings is that these are, again, a predetermined location for the building footprint. And so the other buildings basically sit kind of in a row and they have somewhat of a quote unquote streetscape. This building sits independent. And it sits in front of what will be the green space. We have made some indications about putting in a really simple, kind of track as a reference to the fairground, which I think could be fun and useful. We will have to submit a landscape plan as well, but these two buildings kind of sit closest, quote unquote, to the road, although it is hundreds of feet back from fairgrounds. But the idea is that these structures would be a bit more utilitarian looking, kind of more barn-like, if you will. The idea being that these may have been barn structures that were converted into, dwellings. In each one of those buildings, you see that are connected by a breezeway, you'll have two units, two-bedroom units. So it's a total of 4 in this structure. And so if you can visualize, this structure will be set back pretty far from the road, but it will provide some level of screening to the buildings that are set behind it. The buildings are fairly symmetrical. We intentionally try to keep the height low. So I think that these cap out at 24 feet, 6 inches in terms of height. This does have the V-groove barn board, natural trim, Terratone windows, and we've added on the wraparound porches that run along the longitudinal side of the buildings. We did put the exposed rafter tails so that it looked like it was something that was potentially added on at a later date. So I know that I've thrown a lot at you here, but with that, I look forward to comments from the board, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. So no HSAB on this, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Right. Is anyone in the audience here to talk on this project? For or against? Doesn't matter. Tucker, you want to say something?
Thank you for the opportunity. Tucker Holland, Municipal Housing Director. I think you all are probably aware this is an exciting project that is being done in collaboration between the Affordable Housing Trust, Housing Nantucket, and the developer. The trust will be investing 10 million plus into this project in order to provide year-round housing for the community. 100% of the units will go to year-rounders. 100% of the units will be restricted at a tier of income levels. We think this is has the potential to really be a model project for developing under local zoning and, of course, with the HDC process, housing in what we're calling pocket neighborhoods for year-rounders. There's, excuse me, obviously been an erosion of year-round housing as folks have gone to sell, maybe after being on the island for decades. They can't ignore the value of their property, and the next year-rounder, most likely is not going to be able to afford what is now 2.3 million average or median home price. So we think this is an important piece in the year-round housing puzzle. We're quite excited about the work that Matt and Emeritus have done on the design, and I'm just here basically to say we're very supportive of it and look forward to hearing your comments on it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Anyone else?
Good evening, Ann Crispa, Executive Director of Housing Nantucket. We are also really excited that this project is happening, and it's a rental project. So all of these 22 units, 2, 3, 1 bedrooms will be available in perpetuity at affordable rents. So we're really impressed with the design here because not only is it extremely attractive, but it also has our long-term maintenance budgets in mind. And the cost to build is really efficient. And then also just thinking about the community feel of the site too. So I hope that we're able to come to something quickly because we have about 250 households on our waiting list and we don't have much turnover. So every day I'm getting interest in this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Lynn. Okay, anyone else?
Please talk into your mic.
Oh, okay. Anyone else? Oh, it's not even turned on. I thought it was too loud to begin with. It's still yours. Yeah. Okay, thank you for your comment. Okay, are we ready, board members, to review this first?
Yep.
That was yes, Diane?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, you want me to go? Okay, I appreciate the height. I don't appreciate that every house looks like the one next door to it. I don't know how that can be done, but it looks like what it's made to look like is housing. I think whether it's affordable housing or whatever, one house could look a little differently than the other. There's nothing basically wrong. I question the cupola on the top, but I understand what the process is. So I'd like to hear what other people have to say about it. But I would like to not have every house look exactly the same. If we're trying to make the houses fit in the neighborhood, there isn't a neighborhood that I can think of that has these houses. They can be made differently as they do in Manta Drive or Benjamin, the quarter. And I think that's important. I think it's important for the maintenance and for the people living there to be proud of where they live. And I think some rearrangement of the facade, particularly the south elevation, I would hope to see more mixture of the houses somehow. That's what I would say for now until I see more. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Diane. Val, you ready?
Mr. Chair, can I just comment on that or should I wait till the end?
You should wait till the end. Ready, Val?
Sure.
Okay.
I agree with Diane. I think they should look a little different. Definitely not the vertical board. It should be shingled, no cupolas. And I think it could be as simple as disconnecting them because there is nothing at all in this area like that. And taking a porch off one side of one, leaving it on the other, facing the other direction and nixing the rafter tails. I think that's too many different things trying to be combined. Just simple is better. Simple Quaker architecture. I appreciate the height.
Thank you. Well said. John. What's that? Of course you can. Go ahead.
Some good design thoughts to this. There's so much in it. I think number one, the cupola should take a height. It's not typical to have them.
You're full of surprises,
I'm
John.
sorry.
Nothing, I'm kidding.
All right.
I knew you were gonna say that. I knew you were gonna say that. Go ahead.
The other comment I would have is mark out where the front doors are. If they're under the porches, change all the doors so that they're regular approved doors, not these type here. That tells where the front door is. And the how much parking is allowed here?
Not enough.
What's shown is what's been approved by the planning board.
A lot, John.
Yeah, a decent amount. I know that was discussed at
39,
length
40,
in the planning board
50
approval.
50 parking spaces.
How many?
50,
50?
50. all told.
Okay, all right, so, it's all, the comment was. What are they? Are they all the same height?
I can answer that, Mr. Chair.
Yeah,
No, they're not. And that kind of goes back to Diane's comment too, is that all the buildings, there will be no repeat of any building on the property. This one building, I think, is unique. It was intended to be viewed as one whole, very simple utilitarian, but definitely agricultural vernacular.
Okay, I think there's too much repetition in
Yeah.
buildings themselves. Too much duplication of profit, of what's here. Myself would like to see kind of change. Gordon, Batten, or whatever is not, I wouldn't think would have that so many here. Shingles are typical for Nantucket, and they should shingle the building. Right, so that's my opinion on that. And that cuts down the savings for the owner. Thank you.
thanks, John. Stephen.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. This is a whole new application. I'm looking at it as such, and I appreciate that concept of trying to come in with kind of an agrarian, central, simple utility type building. There are more of these barns around the island, although this is obviously a house. The idea is to develop a concept and then build around it. So, and while shingles are typical, and board and batten is in a sense atypical, that doesn't mean it's inappropriate. And there's definitely a difference. I do agree, at least until these are built, that the cupolas take a hike and then take a look-see. And perhaps those could come back. I think that's, you're gonna get that from everyone, so I might as well get that right out in the front. I considered the concept of decoupling and changing minor architectural elements on these, and personally, I think it makes it less successful. Understanding that this is one set of buildings, whereas the other buildings are slightly different, although they have shared architectural elements. So there's a common design vocabulary. They don't resemble these buildings, although they do reflect these buildings. So if this were 2 of 8 and they were all going to look like this, I would have a completely different reaction. I think that they are enough different. These 2 as a set versus the other buildings, but also enough common that it could be successful. I think with respect to the board and batten, another comment I'd like to make, I'll speak on the doors and then I'll pass the microphone. The board and batten is something that, while atypical, is if you walk around the island, you're surprised where you see it. You're surprised where you see it. And not only are you surprised where you see it, but you're surprised that it's not all natural. It's also sometimes painted white, off-white, or gray. So to me, and I've been out and about on the island a little bit more frequently, I've been noticing these types of things. So I think that is something that could work. Perhaps illustration with some of the vegetation that's intended to be put in place, noting that this is at least 130 or 150 feet from the street.
Yeah. Right more.
And there will be perhaps 2 layers of vegetation, one up close to this and one by the street. The decoupling, I think I mentioned that I originally was also thinking about that, but I think it makes the concept of a set. These would need to be 2 different, more different designs than they are now. And then the last thing was the doors. And this I'm going to speak broadly on, not just this set of buildings, but there are 3 dwellings in this unit. Each will have their own door, I presume. 4, 2 per unit.
Correct.
And then the other dwellings will have 2 per unit or 3 doors.
They'll all generally have 2.
Okay, so the idea of, and then each building will have up to 4 doors.
Yeah, I mean, this one, if you consider both buildings as one, there's 8. And this design is set up so that the 2 gable ends, and this is kind of addressing John's comment, that the 2 gable ends basically have a front door, if you will.
Right.
And then on the longitudinal side, there's also a door as well. So it's a little bit challenging if you have basically 4 units, and you don't want a series of doors right next to each other. So these plans are all mirrored and flipped, if you will. So they're not, we never have a situation where you have two doors next to one another. So it reads as if it's a duplex.
Right. So my concern with the doors is that if these are all 6-panel doors, this is, a lot of times people come to Nantucket and they say, oh, I was on Nantucket for the first time, and it's all shingles and it's all white. And there's something white trim, and there's something to be said about that and the comfort that it brings. But in a small, relatively dense subdivision of homes, which is what this is, having nothing but 6-panel doors in every direction is something I think that would be a disservice to the design and the community. I think having different doors gives the individual units some sense of individuality and ownership when you're in it in that sense. So I think that's not to say that, we should have 4 light doors, large panes of glass and so on and so forth. But I would suggest that there be allowed some creative license as opposed to just strict 6-panel. But again, not a full French door with 4 lights or a single light door as opposed to a French with 4 lights. Those are my comments for now, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. So like Val and Diane, I think that, well, let me back up. These are the first thing that you're going to see from the road. So although I appreciate having this sort of anomalous elements like a cupola, like board and batten, like exposed rafter tails, the things that you're showing on these 2 buildings, I would rather have them appear on the back buildings and have the front buildings, the buildings that are greeting you from the street, be much more typical in terms of like the typical Nantucket detail. The connector piece, there's got to be a zoning reason for that. Tell me what that's
It
about.
could have been actually a 0. The lot line actually goes pretty much through each breezeway, if you will. The buildings could have actually been connected. We could have had 0 lot line. But for light ventilation egress purposes, to create some separation on the upper floors.
Okay, so
just
that
the way
part I
they played out.
like, but they physically need to be connected is what you're saying?
Not necessarily. I don't think they necessarily do, but
Oh,
I
so the
thought-
comments about uncoupling the buildings is valid, like you can get rid of that?
yeah, I could double check there, but I don't see any reason why. Yeah, I mean, from a zoning perspective,
Billy's
One less
shaking
thing
his
to
head.
do.
they need to be connected.
They need to be connected for some zoning reason. I mean, they all are, so. Okay, I get the idea of having light coming into all 4 sides. I like that. But so my main comments, I appreciate the height. I appreciate the simplicity. I just think that they should be, because they are sort of the sentries that are going to greet you on Fairgrounds Road, they should be more typical Nantucket architecture.
Which,
That's all I've got to say. Should we move for some?
could I just follow up with a
Oh,
couple
yeah,
of quick
go ahead,
points?
go
Just I
ahead.
want to point out, Diane led off with a really important comment that the buildings should not be repetitive. And there's no intention for them to be repetitive. So you'll see that at
But
each
these 2 are.
these 2 are, but I think her comments, if I understood them correctly, was that she didn't want these 2 or them to all be the same. Maybe I misunderstood her comments. This particular building, for what it's worth, was intended to be more utility and not necessarily kind of presenting itself as the primary architectural presence for the whole development. And by design, like kind of intentionally, that it was this kind of like secondary, smaller type structure. Its height is 24 feet tall. So the siding is actually a natural cedar V groove as opposed to a board and batten. But the idea was for it to look as close as possible to a retrofitted barn as possible. So that's why you've got the cupolas. And it was almost kind of a way of easing into and setting the visual tone for what this place is or what it once was. And then as you make your way back towards the back of the property, again, it may sound convoluted, but just kind of the approach I took was that each of these buildings tells a little bit of a different story. There is another barn building in this back section. Anyways, just wanted to point that out.
Listen, I appreciate the intention and the idea that, this used to be part of the fairgrounds, the barn, all that. But I think that that's probably a subtlety that would be lost on most people driving past. And
Right.
it doesn't, there's no racetrack, no fairgrounds there anymore. So I'd rather just see them be simpler buildings. Simpler, meaning more characteristic detailing. Like what you'd see along Fairgrounds Road.
I mean, the historic imagery, I don't know if you got a chance to look through that. There was some really interesting, beautiful buildings.
Very
Ornate.
simple, Matt. The barn.
The barns, I'm just talking about some of the other,
Well,
Mr. Chair, sorry, Matt, can I get some clarification when you mean, I just want to make sure I'm understanding correctly. When you say simpler, are you saying lose rafter tails, cupola takes a hike, simplified, small architectural elements and shingle, or are you saying redesign?
I
or?
personally was saying shingle just because I feel like board and batten being the first thing you see from Fairgrounds is gonna set the whole thing apart from kind of everything else on Fairgrounds Road.
Okay, so I just want to make sure I was understanding correctly. Thank you.
Okay, should we move for some revisions on this?
I'll make a motion to hold for revisions.
Sounds good. Thank you, Diane. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Aye.
Okay, great. Thank you. For revisions. So he's gonna make
Diane's
revisions.
opposed to the revisions.
Yeah, so, okay, motion
Yeah.
carries. Next, let's see, this is. There's more. Yeah. No, we're just getting started here. Oh.
Over 2 windows.
Are we doing a consistent set?
I think we should. I mean, it is a package. I'm
No, you
sorry.
can, because I'm gonna go to the.
Oh, for this application or?
Yeah, if I can.
Yeah, well, you should, if you're going to, you should do so now so I can announce a change. Is that what you're gonna do?
Yeah.
Okay, so Val is gonna take a break and Abby is going to fill in for Val. Okay. So here we go.
So this is an application for the next 2 buildings. We're calling this building 2. Again, what we try to do for the HTC submission is where they are connected by that breezeway. Thanks, John. Where they are connected by that breezeway, that they are technically separate building permit applications, and that's the way we submitted to HTC, but we did show the 2 structures side by side. So I think for the purposes of this presentation, I would look at the front elevation, which is in the bottom right-hand corner. The 2 perspectives, I think, capture this most appropriately. The building on the right is also a V-groove natural. It's got a larger cupola on it, and again, that is intended to be another barn structure. So the intent for the entire property was that you would have basically the buildings that we just reviewed in the foreground, which are smaller barn structures, again, utility barns, and then this was the larger barn on the property as well. The other buildings tell a slightly different story, but obviously they have more traditional features, square cut rakes, 2/2s, et cetera, et cetera. But we did try to change the detailing, per building. Again, I think a color rendering might be helpful here because if you could look at imagine these 2 buildings, one on the right with natural siding on the right side, and the left natural shingles. I think that the architectural styles would start to present themselves so that each structure has its own identity. Again, you've got 3 units per side of the building, primary, secondary, and tertiary. Again, I thought one of the things we want to do is not have a series of front doors or a series of units aligned with doors one after the other. We wanted these to actually read as kind of residential and or agricultural buildings. So with that, Mr. Chair, I look forward to the comments from the board.
Matt,
Yes.
we're looking at some drawings that have building 2 and 3 combined. I think officially, well, are we reviewing both of these?
I think that the way that they're formatted, they're separate buildings, so.
Because, let me just. can I see it again? You have 4 applications here, right? Total of 4 applications.
That should be for
What?
they're gonna set 4 separate applications, correct?
So we're not seeing everything tonight.
I believe you are in your packet. I think all elevations of,
So like building number 2, which this is,
Yeah.
would include the neighboring building that's
Correct.
connected.
Yeah.
So we're reviewing them together.
okay,
Okay, so we're seeing everything tonight.
yes.
Okay. Okay. So from the board members, I'd like comments on both of the structures. The other side by side, comment on both of them.
Can I ask, excuse me, can I ask a question?
Of course you can, Diane, go ahead.
I just wondered how close the 2 buildings are together. I can't find any information as to how close, how small, how the breezeway is. Is it 10 feet wide, 12
It's-
feet wide?
It's 7.5 feet wide.
I was just gonna say around 8 feet.
Anything else, Diane?
No, I'll wait and say what I got to say. I just wanted to know that because if we're looking at them as 2 individual buildings on building lots, they should be 10 feet apart, right? 5 feet, 5 feet.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, Diane. You're assuming a 5-foot side yard setback, I think.
Yeah.
Right, which would mean there would be a minimum of 10 feet separation. Guys, can you address that?
I'm
What's the
sorry.
setback situation?
0.
Zero setback.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
all right, so.
Yeah.
So it's a 0 side yard setback.
Oh,
Diane.
all right. Okay, yep.
Mr. Chair, just wanted me to clarify that there's 8 total buildings. There's other buildings. I think that's, you weren't asking if this was it. The 4 buildings that you're reviewing tonight, you know that there's more buildings coming in.
Well, that's what I was asking.
Okay,
Because this application has 2 buildings.
yes,
The last application had 2 buildings.
Correct.
So if we have 4 applications, it means 8 buildings.
right, yeah, no, there's more. The site plan kind of indicates,
Can I get
The
a
other
clarification
buildings.
on that?
Oh,
They're
yeah,
coming
yeah,
in.
got it.
So, Matt, you've got 4 applications in for 4 buildings. There are a total of 8. Where there are buildings that are connected, you are showing them in the drawings, but not a 1/4-inch scale. The one you're not showing a 1/4-inch scale, the drawings of the buildings we're not reviewing tonight. So for instance, in this set of drawings, we're reviewing the building showing the connected set. We're reviewing the building on the left, which is shown a 1/4-inch scale. The building on right, we do not have drawings showing a 1/4-inch scale.
that should also be in your set. It's just cut. If you go through.
No, but the point is an important one. And I told everyone to be reviewing both of the buildings, but we're not.
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. So Matt, is the 1/4-inch set of the building on the right supposed to be stapled to build the 1/4-inch set of the building on the left?
I think I thought it was, but maybe it's separated. I don't know if you
Yes.
have 2 sets of drawings in there, but all 4 elevations of both buildings should be in your set.
Okay, so just so you're aware, we don't have that, which I think is leading to some confusion.
Gotcha. Is the other building in there? Like you have 4 applications before you,
So
right?
should it be 8?
No.
Okay. The
So is
last
there,
one,
can I just ask a quick
the
question?
easy one that we just reviewed.
Yep.
Had 2 buildings.
Right.
Fortunately, they look the same, so our comments for one building were the
Would be
same
applied
for the
the same,
comments
yeah.
for the other one.
Correct.
We knocked off 2 in one application.
There's-
Now we have 2 buildings that are pretty different in character side by side.
Right.
And I can't quite figure out whether we're reviewing just the one on the left or
I'm not sure
or
if she
both
has,
of them.
but the next application is a completely different set of drawings. Because I think the way it was submitted is that each application is one building.
Billy, what do you have to say?
I would suggest that you look at application or 2 applications or 10 applications.
So when you say this one is one, you're talking about the 1/4 inch scale.
What you're looking at right there, 2 units.
This is one unit. And so we're going to become, this is one unit. That is one unit. You're saying that everything on the screen is one unit, even though they read as 2 separate buildings.
I'm sorry for the confusion. I think because the first application basically is a similar design. The next application that you're going to see is the other building that you're looking for. So the way we did format it, it's each building independent of the breezeway is its own structure. I mean, if you look at the drawings,
Okay, so we're gonna
to
get
your
back.
point, you can see the 4 elevations that you're looking for. Your next application, you're going to see the other 4
So,
you're
so
looking
right
for.
now, we're commenting, if I may, Mr. Chair, on the building that is shown in 1/4 inch
Yes.
scale, which is of the smaller 1/8 inch scale, the building on the left.
Correct.
And the next one, we will have the building on the right, which will have the same
Yes.
set of 1/8 inch, but
Right.
we'll have that next building at 1/4 inch.
I think the confusing part was that theoretically, the first building you saw, you should have had the same application come after.
Got it, got
Good
it.
enough.
Okay, so Adam,
Hi.
you're ready after all that?
Yeah, well,
What can I get you?
so I had some comments
Hmm.
somewhere.
Oh, you had written down?
Yeah. I think that my fellow board members were when they were referring to a simpler architecture, this might be it. Because this certainly is simpler than the 2 previous. I actually am enjoying the historic reference to the racetrack. And I think these are individual looking buildings. I don't think they look like duplicates of each other. And I think the shingle style is a sort of an okay style for the area. Little bits of it, not the barn board or whatever, but I don't mind the cupola and the reference
Okay.
to the,
Just keep in mind, that's our next one that we're reviewing.
right.
Right now, we're reviewing the one without the cupola. This one.
Right, but I'm
That's
just,
what we're reviewing.
yeah, I'm just saying that the shingle style, that I think it's okay, and I appreciate the height. I think they have creativity where we did have an application for this same site before, and I think this is a better approach. In a general sense, I think the parking is an issue in that that's a lot of tar. And I would like to see that broken up in a more creative way. But this particular building, 2, I think it's called, I'm okay with the architect.
Okay,
Thank you.
good. That's what we want to hear. John?
Yeah.
On building 2, comments?
Thank you, yeah. It's hard to make a quick decision, but the meeting rails, on all the meeting rails have to be lined up with the gutter lines and the facial lines.
Good boy. Good boy.
Sorry,
Oh, boy.
No,
you all know I have a hearing problem, okay?
no, it was.
So Diane made a comment on the online. Diane made a comment.
Yeah, okay.
A good comment.
Still make it, you know? All right, the other is they call front doors. Okay, you know what I like to see marked away. She's 27 foot high. Are they all 27 foot high?
No,
They vary in height. So no.
Okay, on the building and north elevation, it says here on page A202A, the support. Vent roof, the support for the vent roof, they're arch, they should be 45. That's what
Okay.
we generally do in the past. I'll stick with it. The cupolas are a problem for me. Under our guidelines, and also the wood vent. Even the one in there makes a difference for the neighborhood. There's nothing like this in a neighborhood. and try to find harmony in the structure. And there'll be more meetings. I'll leave it at that. Thank you. Mr.
Thank you very much, John. Stephen?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. So I'll reserve comments to the one we're reviewing and agree with it's design, it's appropriate, the shingles look good. I don't think you're gonna get those curved back brackets through, but you knew that coming in. Good to go.
Thank you, Stephen. Diane?
The only thing on that building is, I don't know whether we would use it, but instead of using the typical wood front door, on some of them that are more relaxed, maybe the ones that have the cupola, and this one seems to, is to have like a Dutch door to make it a little more relaxed. That's all with, because of like the building 2 west elevation. I think that is a good, very typical Nantucket facade. But on the side door, and I believe there's a door in the rear that we didn't
We're
have.
back here right now.
Yeah, we don't have six panel doors on all the doors. Give it a little break. On, and this, we're talking about building number 2. And if you do have to raise the dormers a little bit so you get the window right, I don't know whether you have to have that width of the dormer to make it a usable room up above, or what. It just seems the dormers are a little wide, although they seem to have the same, all the windows on the second floor seem to be the same size. So maybe I'd bring it in just a little, or put a wider window in it. I think these facades, particularly on building 2, the south elevation, can take a little wider window. I don't know if there's any window between the first floor and the second floor, but I'd like to see that dormer made wider, or the cheeks brought in, one or the other. That's it for now.
Thank you very much, Diane. So I think you just have some minor tweaking to do this and
For
you're
this
good to
one.
go.
Can I
That's the
just-
way it sounds to me.
Just to be clear, Diane was talking about the second floor, drawing 1 on sheet A201A, about that particular dormer on the facade.
Yeah,
More of a question for Diane. The dormer that you're referring to going wider or narrower,
Narrow. right up
Is the one on
there.
the facade.
Yeah, right where the cursor is.
right?
where the little thing is, yes, that one.
You know,
Thank you.
either bring the cheeks in or make the window wider. Okay, so can we have a motion on this one?
I'll make a motion to hold for revisions.
Okay, I'll just say minor revisions on this one. Thanks for the,
Minor.
Diane. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Yes, I'd like to make a comment, if I could, get on for my own personal reason. The first 5 or 6 photos in here, aerial photos, are all of where you're sitting right now, is the old fairground. which we had. And over 60 years ago, I drove selfies here. I feel glad about knowing some of the history of Nantucket.
Thank you,
Thank
John.
you, very nice to see.
It's kind of
Thank you,
interesting.
John.
We're doing this review right now. Abby, what were you-
Because number 3, the other side is.
oh, you just suggested instead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, well, but we keep this out, but. anyway, 'cause that was on the other
I
one.
don't think that it had all the elevations of number 3. Maybe it did, maybe it does. Okay, now we're on number 3, the one that was linked to number 2. Anything to say on this, Matt?
This particular structure is intended to read like a barn. So the language is barn heavy. We've got 6-inch V groove natural siding. And again, I think that one of the challenges with the project here is trying to create some level of variety between the structures. And so I think from a massing perspective, we definitely have that variety, but I'd also like to integrate a variation in terms of siding. And one of the ways to do that is to introduce the both the vernacular change and or a result of that is obviously the siding change. So this, to some degree, having some big, a building of a significant size, if you will, it's not any higher. It is one of the taller buildings, but it also has a wider presence. And so the intent here, while the buildings are fairly close to one another, is that this structure has, the punctuation, if you will, of the overall composition. So intentionally meant to look like the barn and you know, grab a little bit more of attention. We've got a larger scale cupola on this structure. We've got the bracketed posts on the front of the building, whereas that's really only on a couple of structures in the property. Again, trying to tell a story that, you know, perhaps there was a residual agricultural use in the area, and this property has developed over time. So with that, I look forward to comments from the board, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Who wants to start on this one? We actually sort of kind of already started on this.
Ask him some clarification. on this. So Matt, did you just say that this is the tallest structure?
I believe it is, yeah.
And is this the only one that has brackets on a front porch?
No, there's another building which is intended to be the farmhouse that.
I'm just trying to think ahead, so I know what to say
Yeah,
about
there's one other building that the intention was that there was a residential farmhouse on the property and then this barn, and then that structure does have a variation on that bracket.
Okay, thanks, Matt. Who would like to begin? Thank you, John. Yeah. I know.
Okay, so my comments are the same as the last application. The duplicate, the changes, the recommended, that I recommended here are the same. And I still stand by the structures, the exterior architectural features are not typical to the neighborhood. Something else should be done. You want to shingle it, you know, that's my opinion. But I stand by the decision I made here, cupolas, et cetera, will save time. Thank you.
Thanks, John. And would you include your meeting rail on these dormers too? You know, the meeting rail lining up? Is that one? Yeah, and then the curve brackets, just so that Matt's clear.
Yeah, that's part of
And the
my,
cupola.
I mentioned that in your meeting
Okay.
rails. We've
All right.
always done it. Why change something?
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Stephen, you want to go?
Yeah, sure. So, been out to Wisconsin quite a bit, and when you drive down Main Street, there's a lot of homes with dormers. And a lot of them are historic. And it's amazing to me, despite how I think aesthetically pleasing having the meeting rails line up with the fascia is that design element is, how many historically do not do that. For me, the fact that these are obliquely viewed I would want to see more drawings, but from what I'm seeing, it looks as that at least the east elevation, those and the west elevation, those are viewed obliquely from within the property. So if there is a floor plan programmatic that drives that as opposed to an aesthetic, then I would be inclined to waive concern. But if it's purely aesthetic, I would like to see the meeting rails align with the fascia. I agree. I think, again, at least until something is up and we can take a view, or there's some other perhaps visibility that the cupola is going to end up having to take a hike. I would like to see if perhaps there are some studies that could be developed. I understand that this is, you know, the mission of this project is not to be, you know, spending a lot of money on architectural design services, and nothing on you, Matt, but I wouldn't mind seeing some studies on if there is a treatment where some of this board and batten could be carried through elements of this structure or other structures, but also incorporate more shingles to see how that looks. Lastly, I think, well, this is 29 and a half feet tall. I think that there has been remarkable restraint, and it should be said with respect to the height of these structures so far, that this one being the tallest imagine there will be a taller on each, alternating basis perhaps. But I don't see that as a negative, given that it gives a sense of, it eliminates just this vertical homogeneous homogeneity, if that's the correct word. Forgive me, Miss Sarens, if I've messed that one up. That was my English teacher. So those are my comments for now. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thanks, Stephen. How about you, Diane?
Uh, I do not like the siding. I know what Matt is trying to do. I just think it's too much siding of that type. And particularly if anybody thought of painting it, I think that's not a good thing. I don't mind the porch cover, and I don't know the cupola. I'm sort of haven't got a decision yet of what I think about the thing. I think the underneath part, I think again, this is a door that we should consider maybe having 2 or 3 different kinds of door, not 50 million kinds of doors, but at least some that say this is the back door and some that say this is the front door. I would like to see that. I'm also concerned with these buildings, and you cannot tell me that it is not part of the HDC purview. If you go to the site plan and you think about what we first saw, the plan we had, okay, there it almost is, the parking. This building is looking out directly into parking. And it is also looking beyond into parking. I think that we have to think about that, because there aren't houses that have got that much parking. Maybe some of these houses should come further forward and put the parking back a little bit. So, because you're going to see these in the distance, and then you're going to see a huge line of how many parking spaces, all paved, not a tree in the lot. The proposed lawn area is something that should be gone over also. But I think we have to contend where, I mean, there are going to be children in this thing. Where do they go? They go out and play in the parking lot? I think you have to give them, if possible, move some of the parking and bring the house forward, or a couple of the houses, so they're not all lined up and all the parking is lined up. I don't think that's really what at least I am looking for. I'm looking for a little more bending and informality with the street looking up, because you're going to be going up a driveway, down a driveway, and it's I think it has to be considered as each building comes on to see a view. That's what I got right now.
Okay, thank you. I'm having trouble with the cupola. Sorry, Matt, sorry. And I'm also having a little bit of trouble with the siding. I think that's something that we can be revisited at some point. Otherwise, I'm okay. I think we need some revisions on this guy.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. No, go ahead, Adam. Sorry.
I'm kind of interesting because I actually don't mind some of these architectural features, so.
That's
So-
why I cut you off.
Yeah, so again, I like the reference, the historic reference to the barn, and because it's only one building or two that might be this size, but I would want to see any other buildings going higher than 29. Just in respect to actually, they're mostly just little capes, and so I don't want to go too high on that. And the brackets as well. I think if it's the only one that has brackets, and this is like 150 feet from Fairgrounds Road. I'm kind of okay with that. I do like Diane's idea of staggering this a bit, but I don't want to what's the word? Encroach, is that the word? Encroach on the neighborhood in the back either. I'd like to keep it nice and, you know, as much green around this as possible. I was also thinking that if we were to lose one of these houses and not have a breezeway connector and not make it so dense in the back, I don't know if that's an option. I don't know if you have like you know, you have to meet a certain criteria for housing, but if you lost one of these, it might loosen up the whole.
Can I answer that? I mean, I think it would, all of the units are compliant with the zoning. And so I think everybody worked really hard to try to get this number. I'm sure you could have actually gotten more structures. There is a big, large green space in the front of the property. And Diane, this is to your comment that will the children have to play in the parking lot? And the answer is no. They actually have this beautiful green that has intentionally been located as close to Fairgrounds Road as possible. So truly the highest impact on Fairgrounds is a beautiful open space. And, you know, we definitely have some options with that, but so just want to make sure that you know the kids weren't going to be playing in parking lots.
Also, what is the color of the, is it stained? Is it
All natural. Yeah, I was just going to natural to weather.
And the trim and
Trim was natural as well. Just I think the sash was black.
Billy.
Mr. Chairman, I would just like to say to Stephen and to
Oh, my name came out.
Did.
Billy Cassidy, that there will be, and there is in the budget, room for studies to, you know, express exactly what we're talking about. And, you know, regarding what I heard earlier in the structures, I am really not interested in dumbing things down, which is how I read that. And I think that there's a big difference between folly and just nice. So the idea is that this is as nice as it can be without being silly. And anyway.
Can I get a clarification though? Just because I want to make sure I didn't say something that I didn't think I said. The last part of your comments, Billy, the comment you made with respect to Abby and me were with the front end, which is the study, but not
The study, nothing
not the
to do,
silly
nothing,
dumb down
nothing
thing.
to do
Okay,
with,
just want to make sure I understood.
yes, yeah, pardon me. It was everything to do with the studies.
Okay. Thanks.
Motion to hold for revisions and some studies.
Okay. On the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Anyone opposed to that? Motion carries. Thank you. And now I believe this is the last application we'll be reviewing on 31 Fairgrounds. Now, Val, you want on this? Or? No? Okay. Okay.
So, Mr. Chair, this is the other half of the building that kind of mirrors itself.
In the front?
Yes. And that's kind of why I was confusing about the process. So the other half of that
Hey,
building.
guys, I think we make short work of this. Because I think,
Motion to hold for
at
the
least
same
I
revisions as the
believe that
first
we already reviewed this,
did.
because all the same comments apply. Hey,
Exactly.
just one small question on that. I don't think it's possible, but there was this idea about these two buildings being the same, facing the same direction. You can't turn 190 degrees, can you? I don't think you have.
I'd have to
room.
check. I think the lot lines don't necessarily allow it.
I
but-
don't think so, but it actually, I don't know, it would make it less monotonous. That's the only thing I have to say. Sure. But so-
Motion to hold for revisions to the same outcome as the original application.
yeah, which was number one, correct?
Yes,
That
that's
was
one. And just
yeah,
FYI,
dwelling number one.
numbering
yeah, that-
refers to the
that's-
lots.
Okay, so that's Stephen's motion. On the motion, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'd like to discussion on the motion.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Sorry, Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
but I think that this is a relevant. Kadeem, can you pull up the schematic streetscape?
I don't have that. That was just given to you today.
Okay, so on this page,
Yes, got it.
you mentioned the connector, and that brings up the sketch. And it appears to me that this and my cohort here, that the heavier connector actually appears, at least at this scale in this presentation, to be more successful than the smaller single gable.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna do a study, you might
Sure.
consider that.
Yeah, I definitely will.
Because it definitely reads as helping these buildings to be more of one versus having that small
Two.
connector. Whereas I think the smaller scale connectors on the other buildings are probably successful, but that's because the buildings are different.
Right. Yeah, no, I was thinking about that. Yeah.
It does look good though. Okay, that was sort of an aside, but we've already taken a vote.
Well, that was relative to the motion so that he would do some work on it.
Yeah,
I didn't vote.
But did-
I'm an aye.
okay. So that motion carries. All right, thanks, Matt. Yes, John. Yes, John.
So which is a way that we get the two men in the back room that are running this thing, turn up the volume a little bit. I know I have a problem, but other people have problems too. And it's very hard to hear from that
Yeah.
speaker.
I can mumble too, so.
Yeah, it's not you, it's
Yeah.
the speaker. Thank you.
Yep.
Matt
Thank you,
offered to
John.
Mumble if you wanted to.
All right,
He said
thanks,
he can
Matt.
mumble if you
So let's see, next thing up on
mumble.
new business is 101 Orange, as-built fence. Abby's back, so that means unless anybody's recused, we have the regular board together.
I'll let Jesse do this one.
Oh,
So he
okay.
has it in.
So going through.
Didn't we open? Oh, no, that was a different one. 13 Mountain Way.
Do we have anybody represent this? Oh, yeah, good. Okay, so I think, was this the one we're having trouble understanding? All right. What do we have here? Could you just give us your name for the?
Susan Whitlock.
Thank you. And just tell us what we're looking at. If you would.
If I can give you a little history on this. 'Cause
Okay.
this kind of dumped in our lap. We had no idea it was coming. We moved into 101 Orange Street in 2007, moved into town from Wisconsin.
Mhm.
We had a small pug dog. We moved in a few weeks before we passed papers, and with the former owner's permission, we had a green wire deer type fencing run on two sides through the vegetation that existed because we wanted to contain the dog.
Mhm.
She said, fine. It was put in, you couldn't see it because there was dense vegetation. But a pug will go through any small space it can find.
Oh, I know.
And they're curious and they'll go anywhere. So it's been there all these years and nobody could see it. And the dog never got out against our permission. And then about 4 or 5 years ago, our neighbor on the New Street side, with whom we share a boundary, said that she would love if we would trim some of our trees because that side of her house was so shady.
Mhm.
So we tried to accommodate. We actually topped a couple of cedar trees and it looked horrible, but it let light into her second story windows on that side, more closer to New Street. Eventually, we took those trees down to the ground because they did look so awful. About a year or so after that, I heard sawing going on one day and I went out and there was my neighbor with a gentleman who was topping the Leyland cypress that were at the far end of that boundary, the most interior area. And I said, what are you doing? And she said, well, we're topping. Now, mind you, these trees would get blown over in a nor'easter during the winter. We had Dale Gary come out one time and we hired him to prop them up. We had Ted Godfrey come out and prop them up. So we always thought they were ours. She then told me on this occasion, no, they're mine. I bought them at Ann and Hope. I was dumbfounded. A year later, she took them to the ground while we were on vacation in Florida. So now our green wire fence is exposed. We're totally exposed. She has an elevated deck on that back end of the house. She rents it in the summer, then she rents it seasonally in the winter. She rents it to a winter tenant. So we attached bamboo screening, split bamboo screening, which we got from a garden supply store. We attached it to the green wire so that we had some privacy. And also, so our dog wouldn't see what was going on over there and bark incessantly. What he doesn't see, he doesn't care about. And that was all fine. I thought we were fine. December 2019, I got an email from her saying she had applied to put in a board fence with a lattice top. And by the way, you have an unapproved fence. There's no record of it in the HDC. Again, my jaw dropped. I thought, I don't understand what's going on here. But I wrote her a very nice email saying, we're happy that you're going to put your fence in. You've always wanted hydrangeas and you can do that. And she also demanded that we take the fence down so the surveyor could come in and mark the boundary and to have the fence installed. And I replied in my email, just let me know when the surveyor is coming and I will have Ziggy, the pug, inside so he doesn't go astray. The surveyor is more than welcome to come on our property. And I said, let us know if we are away on our vacation, just let us know when the fence is going to be put in and who's doing it. And we'll have the guy who helps us out with this kind of stuff remove the fence and get out of your way. Never heard another thing about it until I got this registered letter from Plus saying, we have been notified that you have an unapproved fence on your property. So I immediately called Kathy Flynn back when I got this letter and said, okay, what's going on? What do I do about this? And she said, apply for the fence. So here I am.
Okay.
And
So sounds like the neighbor is not moving forward with the idea of putting in the.
I gather
5-in-1.
that's the case.
Right.
Yeah, we haven't seen any, the surveyor has been there and marked the boundary, but there's no sign of a fence coming from her. And if she puts her fence in, ours will go away because it won't need to be there.
Right.
And I don't think anybody can see it except us.
Mr. Chair, through you, the neighbor sent an email, which I forwarded to you all. There's from right behind you.
This is, we have a copy, a hard
Right,
copy.
yeah.
here.
There you go. It was a citizen's complaint and I just asked her to apply for the record.
Right. Oh, so we verified that it cannot be seen from the street?
Minimally, I mean.
You have to stand right at the end and look down that line. Most of the time, Michael Molinar's flowers truck is parked there. There are a lot of cars parked along that street. You would have to look for it.
I mean, I went out when I got the complaint, and I took a picture and I could see it a little bit. But it was through, and that was in April or May, so I could see a little bit of it.
Okay,
But I just said for the record, she should apply and,
right. All right, I think I get it. Now, do we have HSAB on this
No.
perchance? No, okay. What do we think, folks?
Could I make a comment?
Sure.
This is a fence of a temporary nature in the sense that it's not a permanent posted wood fence.
I'd agree with that.
So I just wanted to point out something my cohort mentioned. Is that the right word? It is in this instance.
Well, it'd be somehow ironic if we sort of required you to put in a permanent wooden fence And then your neighbor showed up and put in a 5-in-1 fence right next to.
Well, as far as we know, she intends to put a fence in. This is never intended to be a fence. It was supposed to keep our dog in place
Right,
until she ripped everything out that hit it.
3-year approval.
Hmm?
It can remain until it falls down or is replaced by the neighbor's fence.
Yeah, well, I think the compelling thing here is the fact that it's as seen from a public way, it's virtually invisible. So I'd be inclined just to let it go. I mean, I can't imagine you're gonna live with the bamboo fence forever and ever.
What I
I just-
asked for is, would you please permit it until she puts in her fence and then it disappears?
Right.
I'd like to know who owns the tree.
Is it red? It's like red.
Is that your tree on your land or her
The
tree
tree?
on her land?
That tree right there it's our willow tree, but it I guess it crosses the line, and
Yeah.
so many people I know have lived in this house in the past, and John, you probably know who most of them are. The tree's been there forever. One
Yeah,
person
I know
We-
that.
tied our dog to that tree.
I just want you to know that if she puts up a fence, then it should make a scoop around the tree, not try and run it to the tree and then run it on. She doesn't seem to understand fences so much. And funnily enough, the land that's beside you, I can't believe it still does, but it says Joe Lopes, which
Family belongs to that property.
I knew him very, very well for a long time. So I would go with the bamboo fence, which is not formal and fits into what you have there. And see what happens. I don't see what she comes up with, but
Right.
make everybody aware of what she's could be applying for. I guess that's what I would say.
Okay. Thanks, Diane. Anybody else? Are you okay with
I'm
leaving it?
fine with whatever.
Oh, all right. Val?
I'm not on it.
Oh. Mr.
I think,
Dutra, sorry.
yeah, the spending the fee is a great idea. If you want to put a timeline on it, that's fine.
We could. Maybe you can revisit us in a year.
Oh my God.
Is that
Please.
too little or too much?
I didn't know this was coming.
It
until
was
I got
an,
ready.
it was an invitation.
What is going on here?
I thought you'd want to come see us. John, what do you have to say about this fence? It doesn't sound like it's visible from a
The
public way.
question is it visible? Speed of travel away.
It's not.
Not,
That was a not, right, Diane?
yeah, that's a not.
Right. Yeah. You
Thank
okay
you.
with it?
Thank-
I think, can somebody give me a motion just to approve? this?
Motion to approve.
All right, that sounds good. Just say due to lack of visibility, just to cover us. Okay. All right, Jesse's made a motion to approve this due to lack of visibility. Thanks for coming out and explaining everything. All those in favor?
Aye,
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. There you go.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Say hi to your pug for me. My two pugs say hi to your pug.
Oh, I guess you know him already.
Probably. My pugs know everyone in the neighborhood. I'm on Pine Street. Okay, thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, 6A Silver.
I'm off this one too.
Oh, my goodness.
And Jesse's off this one also.
Oh, okay. Oh, gosh, you are too.
And Ray, we have another problem. We can't, Kadeem just told me we can't get into HDC submissions. So I have a hard copy and Diane can't sit if she can't see the hard copy.
well, then you should have got me one. You can't throw me off the board. I'm sorry.
It was
I
my
had that
understanding,
from the
Mr. Chairman,
town
point of order. It's my
lawyer.
understanding that this was going to be all in person. So I brought 9 copies of it.
No, well, you were wrong.
Well, I wouldn't know that, Diane, because that's not the way it's supposed to work.
Well, that's, you talk to Dawn Holgate or Erica, because that's what we are told. I am a handicapped person and have a right, since I was duly elected, to serve on this board.
I've been on the other. No, I know. Now, listen, so Val can't sit, you can't sit. So Abby. Don't give me a hard time. Abby, Ray, John, Stephen, Carrie. Can we do that? Diane, I don't want to cut you out of the loop here, but this would just simplify things because we're all sitting here looking at these paper drawings. But I do want a clarification on that.
On what?
I'm not saying now. I'm saying we should, if something needs to be submitted so that it can go on to Zoom, it should be, we should continue to do that.
She did this last minute, so.
No, I did it last week, but apparently it's not in the view packet. You only have that plan. I was brought into it after the plan was put in.
I mean, we're meeting in person, so.
Right. Okay.
But I will get clarification.
Okay, so the board, again, Abby, Ray, John, Stephen, Carrie. Okay, go Linda.
This is a spa, everybody's favorite
Our
subject.
favorite thing. Thanks so
Subject,
much.
very favorite subject. I'd suggest you look at the packet that I put in. I gave you the definition
I know
since,
where this is.
yeah.
On the hill.
yeah,
Yep,
way in the valley.
yep.
And I gave you the definition so you could actually have the definition in the bylaw since that keeps coming up ad nauseum.
It's irrelevant. I mean, I don't want to make light of it, but.
I just
you
thought
can
you'd like
a
to have it.
spa. You can have a spa. that
Right,
looks
I just
like a
so
pool.
give you the definition of the spa.
Right,
The second one is the topography. The front of the house, as you know, everybody's gone up Silver Street, or
Yep.
come down Silver Street, actually.
yep.
The Silver Street is at 32 and 30. The spa is down at 20 and 16, if not 16. It's behind the house. I gave you all the pictures from the road, from Pleasant Street, from the town parking lot, and from Westover. It is so far below Westover as well. It's 10 feet below Westover. There's a tremendous amount of screening.
Oh, it's 10 feet below Westover the street, but there's that empty lot there. So you're saying that's the same height as the back part of that lot? Right?
The empty lot is weird because it goes up and down, up and down, up and down.
Well, but it slopes down from.
It slopes down, but there's so much foliage in between, and this is even lower than that. On top of the fact, she has a 6-foot fence in the backyard. And there's screening on both, on behind that one. She'll put screening inside if she has to, but it's not visible. I tried to find it, believe me. So if you look at the pictures in there, it meets the definition of spa as well. I know that people are getting crazed about spas, but you can see all the screening that's around it. I went up and down Silver Street. You can't see it because of the other houses, because of the screening and because of the grade change. The third or fourth picture back is what is taking pictures of both sides of her house. And then I took pictures from down below looking up as well.
Yeah, the empty lot, Linda, on Westover, they have a fence running along their back line there.
Yes, if you go to the last couple of pages, you can see her fence,
Oh, yeah.
which runs down one whole side, down the whole back of the structure. The empty lot, if you look at this picture where you're looking down, the empty lot is to the left, not right behind her.
Okay. Hey, thank you, Linda. HSAB on this. Where's it at?
Chair, okay, NHL data says 1991. The view from both Silver and Dover. HSAB said needs to be viewed from Dover and Silver streets with stakes. If visible, spa is too large. Bluestone is not appropriate and needs very heavy screening.
They didn't see this packet when they saw it. That was some time ago. It's obviously been like a month since they've seen it. So I went and I addressed what they had.
Yeah, I know this house and lot pretty well, and ain't no way you're gonna see this from either one of those streets. But
As far as size, Mr. Chairman, it was larger, it was reduced because it was not the correct size.
Okay,
And it's in the ground and it is not elevated.
all right, thanks, Linda. Who wants to start on this one?
Sorry, what is it? What's the size?
What's the size, Linda, overall?
You'll have to look at the application. I don't have a copy of the application in front of me.
This.
I think it's 8 by 13, 9 by 13.
By 13 feet.
Yeah, and it was larger and it was too large. And it's, as I said, Abby, it's in the ground, not raised.
And is this the historic district?
Yeah, it's right off of Silver Street. Yeah, go ahead, John.
All right. I've been up here twice looking at this. I don't think there's anything in the plans that I can see that's detrimental to the neighborhood. And if we're gonna put the thing in there, you leave it natural or paint white. I know the house is painted gray. So
Right.
they put it, arbor, whatever it is, you know.
We don't have an arbor.
Photo here. On page. Yeah, see, third page in, it's from the west side of the property to Silver Street.
Oh.
I don't think this would make a detriment to the neighborhood. Customary to have that type of thing.
Yeah, so they're not even requesting an arbor. It's just the spa.
Yeah.
Just the spa.
And the
Okay.
patio around it.
Yeah.
And a patio.
And a small amount of bluestone around it at the
Okay,
bottom.
Thank you, John. Carrie, you want to go?
I kind of believe that it won't be visible, but I also think as a satellite element out there in the open yard, it just, it sort of goes against what we try to do in town, which is to tuck it between things. And big open spot from West Dover, I don't know, it just seems like it's a little satellite. And why wouldn't they push it towards the house?
Take a look at the topo. It goes
It's
straight up.
sloped.
It goes
Heavily
absolutely
sloped.
straight uphill from there. Look at the very last
Comes
picture.
down from Silver and then goes. flat
Carrie, look
right
at the last
into it.
picture in the packet. Not
Uh,
that, but look at the last picture in the packet.
Well, the picture here that says from house looking down, you see.
Yeah,
the
Carrie, look
furniture.
at this one looking up.
Is it against that fence?
Yes,
Okay, now I get it.
the very last picture in your packet shows looking back up the hill.
Yeah, well, I trust Ray is familiar enough to say it's not visible, so.
You have to airlift into this one.
Huh?
I stand by that.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
well, thanks, that helps a lot. That's all.
Okay, Stephen.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything to add, other than, well, I mean, obviously it would be neighborly to try and camouflage that spa equipment somehow, but,
It's over next to all their heavy screening in that corner.
oh, okay. Yeah, it's hard to get a lay of what foliage is, what vegetation is where in this. And the chairman says that it's not visible. Okay, thank you.
All right, Abby.
I agree with Carrie's first initial thoughts on this. I think yes, it's an open rural area. And I think it's too large and it seems inappropriate for me in the historic district. So, and with the hardscaping around it, I wouldn't be in favor of it.
Okay. Thank you. Well, I'm in favor of this. I'm confident that it won't be visible from either Westover or Silver. So that's my view. Can somebody give me a motion of some kind? Somebody? No.
Who's on
There's
besides
a
you?
flat spot.
I'll make a motion to approve, subject to lack of visibility, not visible at time of inspection thereafter.
Like it. Okay, thank you. All those in favor of Stephen's motion? Aye. Anyone opposed?
One,
Okay, so 4 in favor, 1 opposed, motion carries. Thank you.
This is
Thank
my
you.
Test case, by the way, for the record.
What's that?
This is my test case spa
Oh,
for the
Okay.
record.
We have so many, Steve.
All right. Ethan, you here?
Oh, wait, I want to give you more paperwork. It's for the record.
So before we get too far into this, I had a kind of procedural question.
Yep.
We have been to Concom since this was submitted, and we've got some updates based on that. They weren't submitted digitally. I was going to bring them at the table, but in light of what happened last time, would it be better to look at this and hold for revisions and we'll come back? Or I just don't want to keep like kicking the can down unnecessarily, but I just wasn't sure what would be the best kind of procedural way to move forward.
He has drawings, so we'd be doing the same thing we just did with Diane again. Or he could revise.
Okay, so as Stephen just said, this is the same thing where Diane isn't privy to the paper material that you have. And I don't see any real point in moving forward without having that. So how can we get this into the Zoom system?
Well, the last one was supplemental information. First of all, there were plans. This one is different. These are plans. So,
You mean review the plans as they are?
well, in this case, they're entirely new plans from Ethan, so.
Okay. So what I'm asking is, can we move forward with Diane as a member of this application, review it with the understanding that she's not going to get to see your paper stuff, right?
Correct. She wouldn't be able to physically see. what we're
How
looking at.
dramatically are you
So
changing?
we had to recite it due to some wetlands, but what also
Okay,
happened,
stop right there. Stop right there. So I'm going to say that, let's see, the regular board, everyone can sit on this, correct? All right. So Diane, you're in on this one.
Okay.
Now, so Ethan has, because of Concom issues, he's revised a few things, but what he's going to do is he's going to describe those to you so that you know what's going on. Okay?
Yep, that's
All
fine.
right, great. So let's move forward.
She can vote, but she can't see the plans.
She's not actually.
I mean,
Just
I
kill me. This is crazy.
mean, in this situation, I don't think she can. She can't see the plans.
Can you hold it till
May I
next
make a
week?
suggestion to the applicant and to anybody else? If you're gonna change something before it comes to the meeting and it's a situation that can't be helped, please email them to the office because this is what we're gonna keep.
Yeah,
running
this
into.
is,
and certainly I agree, this is why I want to start was this is a bizarre scenario. And if just the application kept getting kicked and now we actually have revisions, but we didn't want to pull it and resubmit.
Are the plans of what it looks like, what we're looking at, it's just in a different location?
That's correct. And there's grading revisions that we want to be clear about and the associated landscaping that says how we're going to address those.
So what she does see is what it looks like, it's just gonna be in a different place.
How about a motion to hold till Thursday?
I like that.
Yeah.
That's safe.
We'll resubmit.
All right, somebody move to hold till Thursday. Anybody?
Motion to hold till Thursday.
Great, thanks. All in favor of Stephen's motion to hold this till Thursday? Aye.
Bye.
All right, so let's hear this Thursday.
Thank you all very much.
Okay, thank you, Ethan, sorry. Okay, now we're on to old business. Somebody's feeding back. And Abby can't, have your chair in this one. Chair in this one. Is there anybody here representing this one?
Come on up.
Come on up.
To the marina.
You want to look, Jess? Oh, you're not on this. Okay. Oh, man, none of the old business, huh?
Yeah, but then we go back and new. Are we gonna
Right.
get to that, you think? Okay.
Is that-
Are we gonna- oh, shit.
Madam Chair, can I ask if anyone?
Do you
did
want
not
me to
use
just,
Huh?
do you want me to
Yes, yes.
just
For you.
text you?
Yes. Did
Sure.
anybody not?
So you
view
don't have
this?
to sit here all night?
Did everybody get to see this?
Everyone else is-
So would you like to present?
I had asked for a view, I believe, at the last hearing, so that's why I wanted to speak up. And I viewed this, and it's not visible with the exception of a small piece near the entryway, which is temporary in nature. It seems like it's rolled back. And the other comment I would make is that there are gates, not dissimilar to what's proposed in the area. However, they are further back from the entryway. And it would seem appropriate for that.
Did you want to present something new?
No, I know that you looked at it.
You want us to just deliberate on it?
I do want to address. I do want to pull it away from the street, so it's not. Pushing the street, which will have hedges, so that a car can pull in to open the gate, so off one with busy. There is the gate, because we have a very precocious dog, so.
Motion to approve is submitted.
What?
Motion to approve is submitted with the gate at least 10 feet in from the property line.
Anybody opposed to that? John, are you okay with that?
Sorry?
Are you okay with Steve's motion to approve?
Yes.
And Carrie?
Yeah,
So, okay.
Aye.
Hi,
Diane, how about Diane?
Diane.
I don't believe I'm on it. That's.
Oh, okay.
Okay, then it passes.
Steve, when it gets to you, will you write the condition?
I will. I'm sure.
Now we need our fearless leader back again. You're recused on this one.
Me?
Yeah. Or stepped out, yeah.
Oh. Step out again. That must have been a long time ago. Back when we could go into the kitchen.
I know. Yeah, so yeah. Mr. Chair, Jesse's not on any of the old business. So I was gonna just text him if it looks like we're getting close to new business again. Yeah. Nice to see you,
Good to
Jess.
see you. Yeah, thanks. Look forward to next new business.
I think it's Thursday.
You guys just conclude number one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
We're at the Thursday.
we act fast when you're not around.
Oh, wow. We've wrapped in the works here. Okay, so 36 Pocono. No, so-
I'm here, Ray.
Hey, Steve.
How we doing?
Good.
Good. So since the last time we met, which was quite a while ago, we did make some changes, as Val had suggested. Instead of the garage, just even if we could scroll back, instead of the garage location and its parallel to the street. We pushed it back and rotated it at an angle. So you wouldn't see the full garage, which is really not visible, but go ahead, if you can scroll down. There it is. It was angled, and you can see the distance from the street property line to the garage. We also have received our Concom approval in this time period that's gone by. We had, in talking about moving the garage, we have the wetland buffer on the left-hand side, and we have the separation from the main house on the right-hand side. This is, by rotating it, this is all I could do in order to accommodate Val's comment from the last time. Also, I've included some photographs in the packet, again, of the location. And you can see the red dot there, that's the main house. And the garage is just to the left of that red dot where the shell driveway ends. So if you go over a little bit, Kadeem, no, the other way. Yeah, right there, right there. And notice the existing garage that we're gonna come in later off to demolish is closer to the road than the new proposed garage. And on the right-hand side, you approved the new dwelling on that secondary dwelling right there, which is in construction right now.
That's all one big ginormous piece of property?
No,
No,
that's the neighbor.
that's the neighbor.
Neighbor's garage.
I was just stating that the approved neighbor's second dwelling is closer to the road, than proposed garages, that's all. Thank you. Yeah, there's
What I
the,
said.
I'm sorry, there's the view from the street. You're welcome.
Okay, I think everybody knows who's on this. So it's myself, Diane, John, Val. Four people on this. Who would like to begin? Thank you, John.
I'm finding, the cousin to the main structure, and everything that's in this application is basically run off from the main house. It's appropriate, other than, I don't know, if that would be the door. It's an apartment, second dwelling, so you have to change one of those doors.
Which door, John?
I was kind of trying to floor plan where the front door is.
So,
Right.
Stephen, when you said the so-called front doors.
He's talking about the French door to the left of the lattice work on the
Yeah, that is.
north elevation.
Right.
Yep.
You do have the same door on the house. Oh, thank you.
Okay, thanks, John. Val?
I'm fine with it.
Okay.
I actually appreciate the making it at least parallel to the house as opposed to in front of it. So thank you.
Diane?
I also am all right with it. I think it's, it'll be all right. Thank you.
Okay, I think we can approve this. Somebody want to make a motion?
Motion to approve.
Oh, Val beat you to it. Says Val has made a motion to approve as submitted. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Okay, next up, 16 Helens.
Good evening, everyone. So the last time we met on this project, there was an open question as to where the driveway was located and whether or not we were placing the panels on the front or the rear of the home. So with this packet, we clearly show that the driveway is coming in from the north and that the panels are indeed going on the rear of the house. So if we can look at the site plan, and we also include one of the first floor plan
You good?
Yeah,
Can I just ask a question?
yes.
What's this little bump down the lower, it's, would be in the southwest corner, it says new garden.
Oh, that's that, I believe that where that Jeep is, that's gonna be like all additional landscaping.
Okay. I think that was throwing some people off because it almost appeared to drive on that way before. Okay. That's it, Tim?
Yep.
Great, thanks. Who's my board on these? Myself, Diane, John, Val, and Carrie. Anybody care to begin? Somebody. Carrie?
I'm happy to go. I mean, there's, was the pool approved?
Yes,
Cool.
this has all been approved, yeah.
And that's on the rear of the house.
That's on the rear of the
So
house.
It seems to me that this is, with your driveway where it is, even if you make the door on that south elevation, it is the rear of the house. How visible it is, I don't know, but it looks awfully vegetated. And it's a dead end road, it's a dead end. lane,
Correct,
right? I
yes.
went back there a couple weeks ago and it's like, you keep driving and driving to get there. I think I'm okay with this.
Okay, thanks. John?
Go for it.
Well, Carrie just went. She's good with it.
Yeah.
You, what's your view?
I find it, it's appropriate for the area because it's not in the old historic districts area, destroying an old house and view visibly, you know? The other is that I think it's appropriate for the area. I know there's gonna be more. So I would say I don't find it inappropriate there, in that location.
Okay, thank you, John. Diane?
Well, I think that 16 Helen's Drive is a funny piece of land and stuff with the house place on it. It carries the Helen's Drive address. But if you go in that north driveway into the house, it isn't facing the street. So I would, and I don't think you'll see it anyway. So I would go along with it.
Okay, thank you, Val.
I think it's appropriate because it meets our guidelines. It's not the front of the house and it's obscured as it is the alleged rear of the house and supposedly the vegetation is staying.
All right, I'm good with it. Now we have a motion on this.
Motion to approve.
All right. Val has made a motion to approve. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed to this? Motion carries. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, everyone.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I would like to, for the record, excuse myself. I am no longer on any of these businesses, and I shall return
I hope so.
Well, that's convenient.
We better,
right around dinner time.
yeah, exactly. All right. So Diane, you're chairing the next one.
And I'm not on it.
Actually, let's see if we have somebody to, oh, Dave, just come on up.
Johnny, Abby, and Carrie.
And John.
Yeah, I
And-
say Johnny, me,
No, I'm not on it.
Johnny, Abby, and Carrie. That's who I got on it. So, David, have you got any new stuff on the spa?
Well, since the last meeting, it was held for viewing and also additional pictures and for me to place a tarp on the deck that was the same size as the spa,
Yes.
which I did. And it's been there for a while. But judging from the pictures that I took myself, I mean, that picture there, well, you can't see it, Diane, but
I can see it.
So you can't, yeah, okay. That's on the property. That's not from any public way. All the pictures, all the views from a public way, you cannot see the tarp at all. And that's without any, even additional vegetation, so.
What is the size of the spa?
The size is, I think it was 5 by 10.
Okay, and how deep?
It's 3.5 feet deep, and it's flush with, there's a deck down at the bottom there.
Right.
It's gonna be flush with the deck level.
Okay, and whose is that house with the little red trim over there to the left? Right there, where the pointer is. Who's, is that on this property or another property?
No, another property.
Okay, okay. All right, well, let's see what everybody has to say. I will ask Abby first.
Well, right, it's on my dog walk, so I see it all the time. And I did see that you moved it so that you can't see it, but my problem is that it's abutting the oldest house, and I think that's an inappropriate installation for that area. So that's my feeling on that.
Okay, thank you. Carrie,
I agree with Abby, unfortunately. I don't know if there are other spas in this neighborhood, but and I understand you can't see it. I did go and I looked over the edge and I saw the shed. But that's not to say you wouldn't see the people in and out of it, because they would be visible, and you might see one sitting on the edge of it. And I do agree with Abby. I think right next to the oldest house is not appropriate historically.
right, all right, yeah, we will talk about that in a minute. Johnny,
You're on.
John,
I couldn't hear what you said.
What do you think of the spa?
Just something here about visibility from the public. It is highly visible from Sunset Hill. I don't find there's no drawing of it. It's here.
Do you have this one?
Yeah. What size of the timbers?
The timbers?
It'd be used for pergola.
Oh, the pergola, we just discussed at the last meeting and you guys were all okay with it at the time. The timbers for the pergola are,
Yeah.
I think it was 2 by 8 for the cross members, and there are no posts.
okay, but we're not reviewing the pergola, Johnny. We're doing the spa, so what do you think about the spa?
Building.
You got anything to say?
No, if you take a photo of it, you can know where it's going, so it would be visible, but it's appropriate.
The pergola?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's appropriate there. Thank you.
All right, that's, my particular view is that it is not appropriate in this area next to below the oldest house. And it's maybe a proper size, but it has to go along with being fitting into the area. So I would be unfortunately against it myself. So let us have a motion. Will somebody make a motion is what they want to do?
Well, the thing would be to ask if it's going negatively, to ask if you want to withdraw the application before it gets denied.
Right.
Diane?
He has a chance of going for revisions and perhaps moving it down to where John suggested. And or withdrawing it or being denied. Revisions, moving, and denied are I think of the three choices you have.
Can I would withdraw the spa for now, but
Yep.
keep the pergola part of the application?
Yep, we can do we'll withdraw it, okay?
Yeah.
And Kathy will help you
I'm
do,
not sitting on this, but Dave, you have an application that includes two things, right?
Yeah, and so I think this is the supplemental package that we're looking at now, which didn't include, doesn't include the drawing for the pergola, does it? I don't.
It's on the
Oh,
plan.
it's there, yeah.
And it's this plan, and we have a photograph. where
So
it's
the
going.
original meeting, you guys were all, there was
Yeah,
no
we
issue with the
approved
pergola.
the pergola and just.
Yeah.
All for, yeah.
Do you want to make that motion?
you
Motion
make, what is the motion now?
to approve just the pergola on this application. Remove
To
this
move-
one from the application.
Put it into the pergola?
Yes.
Is that what it is? To
Yeah.
move it to the pergola? Okay, well, let's try that. All those in favor of taking the spa and moving it into where the pergola is proposed, say aye.
Sorry, Diane, sorry.
This is why you
misunderstood.
can't chair a meeting from.
The approval is just to approve the pergola as is proposed and negate the spa from this
So we,
application. David's gonna withdraw the spa.
Okay, I didn't realize we were discussing the pergola also. So this will be, give me a motion for the pergola.
Motion to approve the pergola, no spa.
All right. All those in favor of that motion, please say aye. Carrie,
I said aye.
Johnny said aye too.
Val,
I'm not on it.
you're not on it. Abby,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. So that's everybody who's an aye. Nobody is opposed to it, I believe. Thank you. Thank you very much. And
Thanks, Diane. Next up, 109 Westchester. Anybody?
Hmm.
No. Nobody here for 109 Westchester.
Motion to hold for representation.
And I think that is going to be for
aye.
5 and 6.
two applications. 5 and 6 should both be held for representation.
Aye.
All
Need
right.
help with that?
Yeah, there's nobody here to represent. So on Abby's motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. So that's our 109 and 105 Westchester. Now we are
47 Warren's Landing.
47 Warren's Landing, and that's you again, Diane.
Yep. So what have we got that we're going to be looking at today?
Hi, Dan.
Hi.
The next page is the most informative, that's what we previously proposed and currently revised.
This was crazy.
This does have a cupola. Everybody seemed okay with it. It came down to proportions. So we've revised the cupola. It's actually a cupola I've had approved in Poplar after a lot of debate. So I know that the proportions were discussed, at least on another building. The overriding comments were about the transoms on it's the south elevation. It's the one that's on the bottom, one up from the left, the one with the picture windows, so up one right there, yeah. So the previous application had a number of transoms and the fenestration was somewhat complicated. So we simplified the fenestration everywhere. We split apart some of the ganged windows on the east elevation, which faces Warren's Landing Road. That's the bottom right elevation. And one thing that we did, we didn't really talk about height, but in the course of doing this revision, I did look at the eave height of the east elevation, and that entire ridge dropped, we dropped the plate 6 inches. And then the middle roof, I call it the connecting roof between the gables, dropped about 1.5 feet. There was some misperception or misconception that that ridge line was continuous all the way through, but those are 2 separate roofs and they are not the same width and they're no longer the same height. I think that that's pretty much it. It was just really trying to simplify. There were a lot of different window styles. I wanted to unify that a little bit and reduce the height and change the cupola proportions. Just as a reminder, it's a wood roof, all natural trim. I forget the color of the windows, but I think they might be black. I'll have to look at the application. And I have some 3D images if it might be helpful, but I know, I'm sorry, Diane would be able to see those, so.
No, she can if it's on the scan.
No, I brought
Oh.
some with me that I just got across my desk this afternoon.
And what is the final height of the building?
Oh, yeah, thanks for asking. The height of the ridge that has the cupola on it is 27.6. The center ridge is 25.10, and the other ridge is just under 25 feet.
Oh, good. Thank you very much. Who would like to begin on this one?
I can.
Okay,
I appreciate the change in height, lowering that ridge line, and I'm okay with the proportions of the cupola and the window revisions. Thank you.
all righty. Thank you. Let's see. John,
Yeah, thank you. And cover the, one is the cupola, I think is inappropriate in style of structure. That's one.
okay.
Yeah, we'll look at it.
You don't like the
Okay.
cupola?
We change to a regular style door.
All right, all right.
Can you scroll down, please, just so I can see that front elevation? Down, sorry, I guess it's up. There we go, okay.
There's the front door.
No, I'm looking for one window here. Yeah, on the west elevation. First and second floor. The, having the, row of lights on top of your picture windows.
He took those.
I got rid of those, John.
I'm sorry.
He took them out. It's just a regular picture window, simple.
All the elevations on the right-hand side are the current
Hey.
proposed.
Okay, I was looking at the left, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. That's what I thought, there were 2 items, the cupola and the front door. Thank you.
All right. Let's see. Abby, you've gone, right?
Who?
Abby?
I'm done. It's Val's turn.
Yeah, Val.
I appreciate the simplification, Joe. Thank you so much. My only concern is the cupola. I'm with John. I think it should go.
Okay, what about Carrie?
Yep, I also appreciate all the changes, the simplification. Mostly I appreciate lowering that middle ridge to give it some hierarchy of massing. And for me, that makes the cupola appropriate on this, as it is on the taller of the 2 gables. And I think the 6-light cupola has made a big difference. And out there in that rural sort of area, I think it's completely appropriate to have a cupola. So I appreciate all the changes.
Thank you. So, I think that on the northeast elevation, that the cupola comes in looking very tall. and the northwest elevation, it has the same number of windows or whatever, but it sits closer down, so it doesn't look so tall. So I could do without the cupola.
Can I
But
say
could we
one
get-
thing? Relative to the siting of this, the northeast elevation, the long side of the building faces their driveway. So it's the east elevation that faces Warren's Landing Road. Just as a point of clarification, I don't know if that changes your opinion at all. I know that when we looked at the east elevation, if you don't go.
Is that southeast or northeast?
It is, you know what, it's almost straight up on this page that is directly south. Right there. And I think we had looked at talking about taking that cupola off, but then there was some discussion about its benefit in breaking up that ridge. I just want to make that point.
We can put a chimney in.
Thank you.
So what do you want to do? Do we leave the cupola, reduce it down, or approve without it and to review it later?
I would motion to approve the building without the cupola.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor of that motion, could you say aye?
Aye.
Anybody opposed to it?
Repeat that?
I motion to approve without the cupola.
Oh, can I make, sorry, I shouldn't interrupt the motion. The site plan, for building, we adjusted the location of this thing relative to the road. My client wants it where it was initially, which I think is about 8 feet to the south. I clouded it, but I don't show the before and after. I don't know if that's maybe.
Well, you can always come back, Joe, and once you get it constructed a little bit, if it looks good, they come back. So the next one is the studio. Do we have the plans for the studio?
Yeah, you looked at this before, and the response was favorable. I think you guys liked the fact that it was a little quirky. There was some discussion about the elevation. Somewhat under fenestrated, it's up against the neighbor's property. And then comments were held until the house was approved.
Do we by any chance have Nantucket board on this?
No, Madam Chair.
No?
Oh, no, excuse me, you haven't heard, you haven't reviewed the cabana, so yes. They said very tall, long, overpowering, adequate area plan limits height to 25, 22 feet, secondary dwelling, height of cupola not indicated on plans, inquired about SDLs. Too large for rural Nantucket, visible from Warren's Landing Road, and 2/2 should be 6/6.
Is that for the house?
Okay, so let's see. Val, you want to begin?
I think my concern was the wings. Primarily, the last time, just the proportion of it. It was multiple buildings at one point, wasn't it? And you combine them?
The chimney in between.
Right.
Oh, that's actually another application across the street.
Oh,
Yeah, so this one is.
was that house 25 feet that we just approved?
No.
No, that house wasn't, the Nantucket Advisory mistakenly thought that this was in.
Oh, right.
Not subject to that maximum 25 feet.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
Kathy, through you, I just read the house
comments, and I apologize. The studio from Nantucket Advisory was questioned equipment room for pool, not indicated on elevations. Only the floor plan is open and or screened. West and east and south horizontal and vertical doors would like a better description.
Okay, and they wanted 6 windows?
That was for the main house. I read that in error.
Yeah. All right, so let's begin with Val.
Kathy just read that and now I'm not understanding it either. What are we looking at on the east fence in between the posts?
Yeah, there's a shower that's, if you look at the plan, you can see it. If you just slide that page up a little bit, there we go. There's an outdoor shower, and then there's a 3/4 inch or 3/4 height cedar board wall where it says storage. That's what you're looking at. It's facing into my client's property. Yeah, right there.
You got a sitting area and a dining area.
Yeah,
and a storage area along that facade.
Right, there's an outdoor kitchen under one side of this, and then a half bath and an outdoor shower under the other side. And then the storage area is for, pool floaties and cushions and things like that, just to store them underneath the roof.
And then you got a bedroom.
Yeah, the front portion of this is open to the pool.
So this makes it really a second dwelling.
It doesn't have an enclosed kitchen. It's going to count as a bedroom for the septic count for sure, because of the enclosed space, and it certainly counts as ground cover. It'll count as a bedroom in all likelihood because of the half bath.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not trying to circumvent any of that. We just really want to have a covered kitchen area with a place to have lunch and a covered seating area.
Okay, let me see whether Val was finished. Did you?
Yeah, it's 18 feet in height. If the vegetation actually ever grows up to be as high as this, I won't have concern. But I don't know if that's possible. We're not gonna see anything but I think, gable roof.
Right.
This is helpful.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
The driveway, I don't see it on this plan, and from Warren's Landing, looking in here.
Oh,
That's not the driveway, because it's going right through
yeah,
the.
there's an existing drive that
So-
runs along the right-hand side of the property and it stops, right, it follows just where that cursor is.
Oh, here,
Yeah.
this is just a drawing that they did, a 3D.
Has
Yeah.
the pool been approved?
No, it's up next.
Is there vegetation shown on that?
On the site plan?
Yeah.
No,
And how are you planning on screening it? Just because this little building ostensibly is visible as well, so.
yeah, this building is visible. There's existing vegetation along the road. There's a wall of, I'm not sure what the plants are, evergreens of some sort, and I know that every pool that gets approved is approved due to lack of visibility in perpetuity, which presumably requires some landscape plan, but we don't have a finished landscape
Yeah,
plan.
okay.
No. I mean,
I think once the pool is seen and made invisible, this will be minimally visible.
So the driveway is moving over here.
The driveway staying on the right-hand side of the property, the west side of the property.
Oh, I'm really, oh, this is the next door neighbor?
That's the next door neighbor.
Okay,
Both of those lots are shown on this plan because there's a series, they were owned by the same person. There's a series of view easements on that left property that to benefit this property, because my client sold that property off with those easements on it. That's why they're both shown. It's just the closest neighbor.
Carrie, have you spoken?
Yeah, I think I'm okay with this little building. I think it's, you know, a funky little building, and I think it's okay out there. That's all.
I have, let's see, has everybody spoken?
John
Abby?
hasn't.
No, and Abby hasn't.
And
Abby, what have you got to say?
Okay, so, yeah, so, I think that the columns that look, you know, they're sort of, formal, and then you have these vertical boards, creating the screening. I think it's an odd combination. I don't mind it so much on the horizontal low down because I don't think you're going to see it, but I think the combination of those two together, I think it's a little incongruous. I don't know what you can do about that, but as far as the architecture is concerned, I think it's neat. Thank you.
All right, and the other, let's see, John McLaughlin, have you got
Yeah,
something to say?
comment. North elevations, they're duplicate in shape and size of it. And the computerized photo doesn't do too much for it. My own feeling is, if it is visible, once it's built, I would say that looking at it at a north elevation, if you look directly on the second floor, there's a window. At the bottom, you stare at the bottom of that window, you're gonna think you're looking at a airport for the coverage for a airplane hangar. And it's not appropriate for Nantucket style. It's way out of character. I just think it's something ought to be redone with the whole thing, move something around on that, on the north and south elevation. Redesign it somehow different, so you don't have duplicity of left and right sides. I don't think that's appropriate for Nantucket. Thank you.
All right, thank you. See, we've spoken to everybody. My particular thought is this, looking at the inside and the outside has gotten very complicated to me for a supposed studio, but that doesn't make it unbuildable. It's just what I think on that. So what does anybody want to do for a motion? Do you want to approve? You want to approve with 6/6 windows like the main house? You want to change something? What would somebody like to do before we go on to the pool?
This fenestration matches the main house. I think that those comments might have been, those were early comments from the Nantucket Advisory Board before the first time it was heard.
Oh,
and
okay.
The board, just to address Abby's comment about columns, just as a reminder, everything's natural cedar, so I think the lines probably read heavier than they will in reality.
Okay. Well, anyway, what would a good
John
motion
made
be?
a motion to hold for revisions.
All right, thank you. All those in favor of holding for revisions, say aye.
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 What revisions?
And those who are against revisions, then say aye.
We're not against revisions. I think we could process it.
Do you want a list of the revisions you're thinking of? Or
I don't
shall we
think there's enough to carry the motion.
Okay, we'll try it again. Make sure I could hear it right. There's a motion to hold for revisions. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. So that's only one. And
Hold
there's
for
four.
revision.
I think we can.
That's- for holding for revision. The next motion is to approve as submitted. Do we have anybody voting for that?
Nobody made a motion yet. Hold on.
What?
What's the consensus here? What are your objections to it?
I don't have any once I saw this.
So,
I don't have any objections once I saw, because I don't think we're gonna see it, and it's a very simple structure.
So
Motion
that's
to
what-
approve.
That's great. That's what I was hoping for. All those in favor of approving, motion to approve, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, please say aye. So there's 4-1. Okay, and the next one is the pool.
It is very.
Could we have the size of the pool just so we can start with that?
I'm inclined to update my site plan. Landscape. Come back.
I think that's a really wise idea because of the openness of the site.
Okay, motion to hold for revisions. And
Okay,
landscape plan.
all right, thank you. We have a motion to hold for revisions and a real estate plan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. No, hold for revisions and landscaping.
Right. And we said aye, and any opposed to that, please say aye.
Aye.
Nope.
Aye.
So it's all of us saying aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Diane. Next up, 14 Maddox Sham Valley Road. Matthew. Okay. Pool, Coombs, McLaughlin, Camp, Oliver. Go.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we've made a number of revisions. We can probably scroll down to elevations to show you what we're talking about. Sheet 8.2.1 would probably be the best place to start. So the feedback we got from the board and the neighbors was basically the mass, the scale. If you look at the previous submitted elevation underneath that 8-inch scale, you'll see that it did have a pretty consistent height there. What we've done here is change all the roof pitches to basically the main mass is a 11 pitch, which translates into a ridge height drop of almost 3 feet. So the maximum ridge height of this building is now 26 feet. Again, we changed the color scheme to the natural to weather gray shutters, with gray sash. We've also lengthened, reduced the length of the overall main mass by about 7 feet. Again, for point of comparison, you can look at the reduced elevations on the center of the page here. We also changed the roof pitch of the living room, which was a cathedral ceiling, dropped that down to actually like a 9 pitch. And again, took about 4 feet out of that height as well. On the left side of the north elevation, which is the one that's visible from the road, we actually removed the entire second floor element, if you will, and dropped the roof pitch to a really shallow roof pitch. And you really wanted that to read as if the secondary piece on the left was maybe a freestanding structure at some point, and that was connected by basically a 1-story connector, if you will. Again, the left mass we've dropped by almost 4 feet. I think it's 3'10". So all in all, we've really significantly dropped the height, the length, the mass, changed the color to a really sympathetic color scheme. I feel like this house at this point is very much in keeping with the Maddox Sham area.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. We also submitted some photographs which showed the ridge poles and some of the adjacent houses and demonstrate how low scaled structure this is in comparison to some of the other houses. And again, by design, tried to go with a really simple eave forward kind of a low slung structure. So with that, Mr. Chair, I look forward to the comments from the board. Thank you.
Hey, Matt,
Yes.
I got a question. It's really kind of a curiosity question. But your proposed east elevation, you have the main ridge, which is at a certain pitch that isn't labeled right here. Then you've got the secondary mass at a different pitch. Is that intentional?
That was
Why?
just to drop the height of the structure where we could. You know, the center mass. Are you talking about the different pitch from front to back or between the main mass and second pitches? Just trying to get some square footage out
You're
of
trying to
that.
get more out of,
Correct.
more
yeah.
height out of the secondary mass?
Just a little bit of extra height. Yeah, there's a loft area on the second floor above the master.
I mean, would be the difference of like 6 inches.
I mean, I could
Thank
make it
you.
the same effect as
That's fine.
sun.
I just was curious.
I think it's more about trying to align these maps and get the head height. So.
Okay, I should ask, is there anybody in the audience that wants to speak on this application? Because I know that there's some neighborhood involved. Yes? You want to speak on the application? So what you want to do is there's a microphone right here. You just come down and give your name and address for the record. Tell us what you think.
My name is Sal Parasano. We own 16 Matachin Valley Road, which is abutting this. My primary comment is we own the house for 21 years. And in 21 years, we've lost a lot of bluff, substantial amount of bluff. And I would strongly urge the builder and owner to pull the house back away from the bluff as much as you can. When we bought the house, we had about 300 feet between the house and the bluff. About 5 years ago, I measured it, and it was about 250 feet. So it just doesn't make sense to me. The bluff is a very fragile ecosystem. And I'd hate to see someone have to move the house in just a few years. Doesn't make any sense.
Are you the house just to the east of this property or to the west?
We are to the west of the property.
To
The
the
Walkers are on one side.
Your house is right up next to the road. Pretty close.
Pretty
right?
close, yeah.
Yeah.
Where the second house is. As you travel
Right.
down the road.
Okay. Anything else?
That's the primary thing. We wanted to see the scope of the house reduced, and I think, I hope that is the case. So we're okay with that.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Anyone else? Okay, with that, I'm gonna turn it over to the board. Let's see what we have on this. Myself, Diane, John, Abby, Val. Who wants to start?
I have a question for Matt.
Yes.
These poles, I did go out there today to see this. Are these going from end to end? They don't seem like they're 93 feet.
They should be. The two center ones represent the two primary cables.
Right.
And then I think the two outside ones really should represent the outside. Yeah, I think you also submitted a diagram.
Diagram showing where.
Where they are on the site.
Yeah, it just didn't seem as though it was,
I think that's it, yeah, thanks.
well, so,
Yes.
That
Val, piece in there.
There it is, Val.
So I think it's the,
4 poles, 2 at the main ridge, 1 off to the east and 1 off to the west on the subordinate cables.
okay. Okay. So I do appreciate a lot of the changes made. I still think things like the very wide porch columns and maybe getting rid of the pergola will mitigate some of that length.
You could do that.
What color did you change it to?
The trim is natural, and I believe the sash is gray.
You said
Okay.
gray.
And then maybe just lose the shutters. I think just simple again. Everything out there is fairly simple. Meant to sort of blend in with the natural surroundings. That's all I have, Mr. Chair, at the moment.
Thank you. Have you finished taking your notes?
Yeah, I'm just, but my notes just say, I think that the length of the building is still too long. Appreciate the, change of height. But I'm thinking that the dormers, are reading too heavy for Matacasham. I like them, but in a different location. I just think for Matacasham, it just, with the shutters, it's starting to look too, so I don't want to say suburban, but I just said.
You could.
So,
We could lose the shutters.
yeah, so, and I'm still, the length of the building for Matacasham seems just way too long.
Thank you, Abby. John?
Yeah, thank you. Number one, the structure is 94 feet long. That's probably one of the largest dwellings that's been approved in a long time, that size, without a garage or something else added to it. Trying to be, having anything above the first floor ceiling. This out there, everything.
Everything's
Very, very
visible.
low. Very low brush out there. I find it the south elevation, which is visible from the beach or the water. And what is the spindle?
Those are vertical, really thin balusters. They're very thin balusters. We were looking at horizontal cable rail.
Thin vertical guys.
In vertical, yeah. Are there any more like that in that area? I'm trying to find something that's
You know, we did a
not
project
unique.
couple doors down that used the mahogany. It was thinner,
Yeah.
but it was in a horizontal application. We can go with the traditional baluster if that's an issue.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thanks, John. Let's see. Diane, to you.
Yep, I'm here. I appreciate the dropping of the roofs, the eave line, particularly the one on the left that's dropped considerably, and the little connector. However, the full length of the building is considerable. And it's all in a straight line, and it's all the roofs and all the dormers are going in the same direction, which makes it look even, to me, it makes it even longer looking than before. I would take the shutters out, and I don't know whether you could turn the right, either the right or the left wing, so that it came out as a C rather than in a straight line, that it might make it look smaller on the property. I would like to see it reduced down in length. It's a lovely building, but I would like to see it reduced down, and the I don't think you're going to see much of it because it's rather tenuous sand out in front of Matacasham. But I think that cutting the building and turning one to a gable might make it seem less long.
I could change that master suite to a gable. Sorry, Mr. Chair.
Is that it, Diane?
Yeah,
Okay, I have nothing to add. Can we have a motion on this one?
Motion to
Can
hold.
I just get some clarity, because I'm gonna be
Yeah,
back
go
here,
ahead.
it's gonna be another month before I'm back
Yeah,
here.
yep, understood.
The height is very low, so I guess it's really just length.
I didn't hear anything about height.
Yeah.
Matt, what I heard about was mainly the overall length.
And is there a specific
You know,
number
there were
they're
some things that
targeting?
you said, what?
Is there a specific number we're targeting, just so I know, I mean, I could take
Have you
4
ever
feet
heard
out of the
board
length.
actually give you a number?
Well, I'm just trying
No,
to
but
figure
you
it out.
know, when you're looking at the site plan and you very nicely put these other building footprints around, you can see, you know, what the difference is, and then it has a porch on it, so that everything just makes it seem longer and longer.
And that building two doors over, obviously.
Is this
longer.
one, yeah.
Yeah,
I think you've got some things to think about. You've got, I mean, the length, the railings,
I mean,
but
that's,
nobody mentioned the chimney.
some of that smaller stuff.
The
I guess the
shutters.
question, how dramatic of a change that we're looking at, is it like another, is it 14 feet? That connector piece, for example, is 14 feet.
Oh,
That's range.
get one free, so we both.
I mean, the other thing too is that the two flanking pieces are 1-story elements, so it's not uncommon to see buildings of a certain length specifically. Now, I could see if this building was full 2 stories, 90 feet, but the truth is, you know, at least half of it is 1 story. So I want to come
Are
back,
you suggesting getting rid of the connector?
maybe, perhaps, I don't want to, but, or shortening it significantly.
It's a great
Well,
idea.
I mean, as it is. the
I know
intent-
everybody in this room is trying to get an approval without having to wait another month.
Yeah.
Come back.
Yeah.
So,
I'll be back.
So just trying to get a sense of
you
it's like,
think what?
I say, I think I have enough. I mean, I was just wondering if it's like a 4-foot change,
Enough what?
reduction in length. How much do we need to take out of the building?
I don't
to
know that we
satisfy?
can give you that.
Yeah, but is it
I
like
think-
14
listen,
feet isn't 4?
Guys, if Matt is suggesting he can get rid of the connector, which is 14 feet,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
That's pretty substantial in terms of the overall length.
Yeah,
Then we'd be down to talking about the details, like the type of the balusters, the corbelling of the chimney,
Sure.
you know, these sort of like
Smaller stuff. Yeah.
the.
But then we don't have any additive massing. It's all up there, all of the same
Okay.
height.
Feedback that, we're not talking like a 4-foot change. We're talking something more significant, so.
So also, I don't want to drag this out, but the neighbors really correct. I just had a friend out there that moved their house back 50 feet. I mean, it's cost thousands of dollars. I would think.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with bringing that to the ownership, so.
All right, so I think the idea is that we need to move for some revisions. Can somebody do that for me, please?
Motion to hold for revisions.
Thank you, Abby. On Abby's motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
I had a comment. I just caught it myself. In this computerized thing,
Yes.
I looked at the drawings. If you look at this computerized photo here, that's the intersection with the dormer on upstairs
Yes.
has shutters. The
Yes.
left part of the house and the right side don't have any shutters.
That
And
was,
there are no shutters in the plan.
there
Why
is
they all
shutters
different?
on the plan.
there are shutters on the elevation. We don't have them on the left. We don't have the shutters on the left and right sections of the structure, just on the main body.
You have to repeat that.
He says they're not on the left and the right, they're just on the main body. They do show up on the elevation.
Yeah, but they are here.
John, so we have a motion. He's gonna make some revisions. The motion is for revisions. All those in favor of the motion?
It's like,
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
They're there, John. Okay. Anyone opposed to the motion to hold for revisions?
no,
All right,
Thank you.
thanks. Okay. 50 Eel Point Road. Lindsay here? Hold up for-
motion to hold for representation.
All those in favor of Val's motion to hold for representation? Aye. Okay, how about 1 Cambridge Street? That's you again, Matt.
See this one?
Okay, board, myself, Diane, Abby, and Carrie. Apparently not.
I was. You were at one point.
It's gonna be another one of those. Do we have minutes?
I go to them right now.
But I would much rather proceed. Do you have a recollection of this?
Me?
Yeah.
I do. I thought Val was on it. but
I know.
it could be wrong.
Okay, because I'd much rather have a 5-person board on this.
Yeah,
than
there I
4
am
person.
in the minutes.
But not here, so you'll have.
But not where?
Not at the top where it says who was sitting on it.
Well, if
But-
Val's
But you-
making
But
comments.
you are in the comments.
Right.
Yeah, there's a roll call vote right there.
Thornwell.
That was close.
We can have Val on, right?
Yeah.
It's obvious that she's on. Right. Okay, let's proceed. Matt, go.
Okay, we can start the elevations. Cover sheet.
Oh, yeah. you're on this.
So,
Oh, horizontal.
that's a good sheet to start on. So basically what we've done, Mr. Chair, is omitted the 3rd floor dormers completely. We've also changed the first floor entablature, the commercial, the essentially retail fenestration on the first floor to emulate Hardee's. So we actually, researched, found photographs, and that entablature is I use the term loosely, but it's emulating very specifically the Hardee's entablature and entry sequence, specifically with the recessed bay, if you will. Again, we're going from photographs, historic photographs. And I think we actually do have a shot of it somewhere.
That would be great.
Yeah. It may not be in this packet. This is our historic documentation package. But there are photographs through NHA online of Hardee's, bless you. And that's literally what we tried to copy. And so entry sequence, entablature, the whole thing. The biggest change again was losing the 3rd floor dormers based on some of the feedback we received from this board. I do think scale one. Oh, there you go. Thank you.
Oh, wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, but see how it's got the heavier trim at the top, then
Yeah.
the flat where the Hardee's text is, then it goes back again.
Nice low roof.
And 1.5 stories high.
Valerie,
Yeah.
you remember that?
I remember that. Come on.
I actually do not remember that.
Size?
Besides, I don't remember the Hardee's sign ever looking like that.
With a skylight.
Okay.
So this is what we based it on in the entry sequence as well. So again, just responding to your comments, we included these perspectives for scale where we could. We've gotten the adjacent buildings, and there's varied scales of buildings in the area. I think that the consensus was to lose the 3rd floor dormers, which is no small thing in our world, but again, understanding we have to make some changes to try to get this to a point where this board is comfortable with it. Kept it really simple. In some ways, it's kind of simple, but I think it works. The other thing is that bay on the left side of the structure, that is an existing bay. I wanted to just point that out, and we did reduce the fenestration in that as well. There's some perspectives that we've tried to maintain the same perspectives throughout the presentation so that you can see the transition. So I think there might be a couple of the last sheet. Oh, there you go. Again, we try to take photograph perspectives from across the street and kind of like zoom our way in there. So as you can see, the building's fairly simple at this point. The rake returns, the gutter returns. I know that you've made some comments about trying to scale that back, which I can certainly do. But obviously the most drastic change is the first floor fenestration and the omission of the third floor dormers. So with that, I look forward to comments from the board. Mr. Chair,
Okay,
thank you.
thanks. H7.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. HSAB says not enough has changed. The building is still too tall and formal, and the HTC notes reflect that they agree with HSAB in this regard. This neighborhood consists of simple 1.5 to 2-story buildings of moderate height. The exceptions are the Athenaeum, the Dreamland, and the Pacific Club, which should remain as dominant structures. Adding another 3-story building next to the new one on South Water Street will compete with those iconic structures and diminish their importance. We should not allow the 3-story buildings to slowly infiltrate downtown Nantucket. They should remain the exception and not become the rule. Several new proposals for downtown have all included a 3rd floor. Aside from Main Street, the modest scale of our commercial downtown is one of its defining characteristics. Most of the buildings in this core area were once residences that were converted to commercial use. That scale is what gives those streets their character and charm. Allow 3-story structures will permanently alter that feeling. This building should mimic that modest scale and not overshadow the others that remain as they have been for well over 150 years. So the recommendations were to lower the height by shallowing the roof pitch to 8/12 or so, lower 1st floor ceiling height currently at 9 feet, lower the eave to 2nd floor window casings, change from clapboard to shingle. The commercial fenestration on the north is formal enough, changing to shingles above and everywhere else will soften the feel. Simplify the details so that it feels like a more converted dwelling. And that's it.
That's it.
That's it.
That's a lot. That was a lot. Okay.
I don't know.
Really and truly, it isn't. It's some adjustments to things. Like the pitch and simplifying.
Yeah. Diane,
I would start
yeah, go ahead.
because, I'm sorry, the building is too massive. The Athenaeum, the Pacific Club, the post office, funnily enough, I believe is in, and the church, the Catholic Church, are all old existing buildings. And they should not be inched up on building by building to make them less important. Those are the crux of our downtown historic area. I think this building should not have a 2nd floor right on top of the 1st floor. If you have to have a 2nd floor, set it back so it's not a massive front. If they want to use the building, it should be smaller than both the Athenaeum, the post office. Actually 5 Water Street, and have it fit in. This building does not fit in. And it is too big, too massive, and not what we expect to find in our historic downtown, right the center of downtown. It is got to be set down, not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 windows across. It should be small and keep to the size that the old building was, because it fit in. It didn't challenge anybody. And that's not where we need challenges, is to welcome visitors and tourists, which are our business, to a place that no longer is historic. So that's what I got to say right now.
Okay. Thank you, Diane. Abby.
Yeah, so the bump on the north elevation, the bump out on the far left, that you say that's existing?
Yes.
I think why it's jumping out at us is that it's over fenestrated, if that could be simplified.
Okay, because we did reduce the fenestration on that already.
It still just reads as an anomaly somehow, to me, and it just even looking at the site plan, it just sort of seems like a strange shape, but, I appreciate the, nixing the third floor dormers. And on the west elevation, I mean, the height of the whole structure, I'm wondering if it couldn't come down 1 or 2 feet. It's sort of overwhelming that brick historic building. So I'd like to see that come down. I actually don't mind the north elevation as much as we've heard HSAP. So that's,
Okay, Abby, thank you. Carrie?
I completely appreciate you taking those dormers off the front
Mhm.
elevation on the street side. I do, although I do still think it's a bit too tall. And I just wonder if you can use the existing tower top plate to run from there. It says it's an 8 slope on that tower. Drop the plate of the building and run from there, so you tie those in together. It would drop the building by quite a lot.
Mr. Chair, could I just ask for clarification on that point? Are you talking about the eave of the bay, the eave line of the
Yeah,
bay to
yeah.
line the eave line of?
Yeah, sorry, your eve on the new building is much higher than that. If
Sure.
you Brought it all down and then also took away the detail on the second floor.
Yeah.
At the eve, but just leave it at the bottom floor to signify commercial space and then let the upstairs be simpler
Got it.
physically. I think that would help. And also, I'm not so in love with the shutters. It brings a formality to it somehow. That I think without the shutters, it would also
That's the-
simplify that second floor.
It's weird. It looks a little, the proportional relationship of window to wall area seems like off, and I didn't want to add more fenestration.
Yeah,
But-
I wouldn't mind seeing it
Without.
because it brings attention to the second floor and we don't, I mean, ideally there would be no second floor, but we know there's gonna be a second floor. Minimizing it visually.
question for clarification.
Are you finished?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good.
That's clapboard
Yeah, I'm showing clapboard.
on the north end. What color is that and what color are the shutters proposed?
I think the shutters are black. The clapboard, we were gonna talk about that, but I think we called it out as white, which I'm guessing this board may or may not like. We've actually done a number of color studies. And again, I thought the idea behind the clapboard was just to add some layering to it.
I think it's really important to get the colors right.
I
because,
totally agree.
I think it could read either really formal or.
I can come in with some combinations to show the board, but I guess.
Hopefully not black shutters.
Okay, so that kind of feedback. I'll take any feedback on the colors you have.
Yeah, shutters in general, heavy black shutters.
That's too much.
Yeah, Quicksilver heavy. Go, Val.
I agree with what's been said. I think, again, simple, Nantucket is simple. Like, for instance, the north elevation that I really like the first floor. And that's gonna all be painted. I
Correct.
don't know what color, but you could mix the clapboard and just have some real nice gray shingles, no shutters, and it will just kind of calm it down completely. Same on the west elevation. And with some of the alterations that Carrie suggested and Abby, I think you're getting there. And there won't be such a disconnect, I think, with a lower, more subtle structure to this brick building, which I guess may have deemed as historic. There's a lot of disparity because of the different heights, so I think that will really help, and also it will bring it down to virtually almost the same pitch. You said 8 or something.
Yeah, it looks like the tower is 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Okay, thanks. So to quote Val, simplification. And to quote Val, we're getting there. Can I have a motion?
Yeah, motion to hold for revision.
All right, sounds good. All in favor of Abby's motion for revisions? Aye. Anybody opposed? No. Thank you very much. Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Matthew. And do we have anybody to represent One Folger? Okay, come on down. Approach the bench.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Tom Garrett from Hanley Construction. I'm the general contractor for this job. I'm representing James Krapp and the owner from Studio Park. James was unavailable today.
Can I just say something?
Mhm.
to the record? Hey, Diane,
Yep.
sharing this, I'm off of it. Okay,
What'd you say?
you are chairing this. I'm apparently not on this application.
Oh, okay, wait a minute.
All right, thanks.
Yep. I am doing that. One Folger Road, studio.
Yeah, so like I said, James is not available to be here today, so I'm going to represent. In talking with James, he recognizes the board's feedback from the previous meeting, which was primarily that the structure felt too vertical. As a result of that, we have removed the full second story and reduced it to a 1.5-story building with dormers, lowered the ridge almost 2 feet, aligning it closely with the main house. And it's now only 19 feet, 10 inches tall. Additionally, he wrapped the secondary mass around the west facade, which is facing Sherburne Turnpike as well. And then a strong young man held up a LVL in the top right-hand corner of the front page. You can see to simulate what it would look like. So that was me holding a 16-foot LVL up in the air. And so that's roughly 20 feet high, so you can see where the ridge would be. That being said, we've also included a whole site elevation on sheet A100, number 09, that shows an outline massing of the present and future approved new dwelling and garage on 20 Sherburne Turnpike, which is the property abutting to the west. This future approved neighboring structure will all but render the building here that we're looking to get approved.
Okay. Very good. Let me see who we'll start with. We start with John. Johnny?
Yes.
Ready? Comments?
Comments? Yes.
Yeah, you ready?
What you got to say?
He's looking over the drawings.
Okay, then I'll try Abby.
Yeah, I don't have anything to say.
Okay, Val?
Yeah, we're trying to find the front door. That must be down in the side,
Not a dwelling. It's a-
west elevation. But the only one that can.
Let me just do Val. We get
My only
started.
comment is in the west elevation, first floor. Change the front door to a typical Nantucket door. So,
West.
That's my comment. Thank you.
Okay,
There's a door on the west.
Val?
I appreciate the changes. I still think it's rather vertical, but it's so built over in there that probably not gonna see it. So, I just want to ask John something. John, on the west, there is no door. I think you're looking at the house that's in front of it. On the street. The only door is facing the pool. And it's not a dwelling, so it only has one door.
You can see it on the screen, John. It's the east. No, that's a different building altogether. This is the house that exists, and this is the building here. So it's showing side by side. That's the door elevation to the pool. It's like a pool house.
Thank you.
Hey, John. Are you all set now? You got any other questions?
I haven't gone yet, but I have no comments either. I think they've proven that it's pretty invisible and they've done some changes that we wanted.
Very good. Val, you made your comment earlier.
Yes, gonna make a motion, Madam Chair.
There was one thing I was going to ask you just to look at is the west proposed elevation, those two windows up in the gable. Perhaps it would be better with the single one. What does anybody think?
I don't think we're gonna see that.
Oh, that one right
Yeah.
there? I don't mind that, changing it to a 1.
I don't mind changing it either.
So can we have a motion?
Do you really want to change that, Diane?
Well, if it's gonna make a big thing, I just think it's heavy up there and makes it more feeling that it's very pointy up there with the single window down below. That's all. But if you all think the two double windows up there is good, that's fine.
I think the double's better because the east elevation has 1 and there's lots of wall around it.
Oh, okay.
So I think I prefer the 2.
Okay, there we go. I'll make a motion to approve as submitted.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
I'm opposed. So it is 3-2, I believe.
Diane?
bring us back something?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm opposed. Yeah, thank you.
Shut it.
Yes, Johnny.
Thank you.
And Diane, you're chairing the next one too.
Thank you.
Right. Okay. Let me just get my papers up
Yes.
there.
Is anybody here to represent that one?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
We have 80 Easton Street. And that is me, John, Val.
Okay.
It's just 4 of us. So can we have a little?
Oh, this right here is not for this application. It's the other one, the other Easton.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
We're supposed to have the owner. To give us a rundown of what you're doing. The spa and the fence. Are you there?
Diane, yeah, she's here, just 1 second.
This is a disaster. Business.
Hey, guys, I'm sorry. I can't walk.
First thing I'd like to say is that I'm here for a spa, not a fence. I don't know why that ever got on there. I apologize, but there's already a fence around our entire property.
Okay, but spa is fine. So tell us about that.
Okay, so first of all, I'm Dolores Martin, and this is my husband, Demi Martin. And we live at 80 Easton, and we've been there, this is our 4th summer. And
Thank you.
I was going to go into a lot of other detail, but I'm going to skip it for now. It's for recreation, but also therapeutic reason that we're wanting to put it there, but I think you're more interested in the facts. So our house is where the red dot is on the photograph. And if you see the location of where we are, I think it's kind of, I know it's in the historic district, but I think it's a very appropriate place considering that we have the Nantucket pool in our backyard right there. And they have a green space that continues on over there behind it. I'll get into a lot more detail about the property itself and not being able to see anything into the property. And then we also have Kitty Corner, the Nantucket Hotel, which is up in the left-hand corner there with their 2 pools. And to the right of me is Atlantic Real Estate. the right of me. So like, yeah, there is the Atlantic Real Estate. So it's kind of a commercial establishment. And to the left of me is Jim and Karen Bloomfield, who we're really good friends with. But and then if you scroll down. Oh, are there other pictures? Where are the other pictures? There we go. Okay. So just to show you in terms of being able to see into the property at all, if you're walking down the sidewalk of Easton Street, that garage that you're seeing in the back is actually the neighbors, and that privet runs all the way down the back, and the fence starts where that pointer is right now. A fence starts and it continues around our entire property, along the back and along the other side as well, which I'll show you. So if you go down, this is also, if you continue walking where we just were and you continue walking down, I just shot this picture because I wanted to show if you're walking by the property, you can't even see down like the left side. And then if you scroll a little bit further, that's the right side of the property. And that's 3 layers of privet. The first layer, and then there's a big bike rack. We have a lot of bicycles. And then there's another layer of privet. And then beyond that, there's a 3rd layer of privet. And then in the back of that is a shack. We call it the shack, but it's our studio. This is our backyard. As you can see, it's robust with vegetation. There's vegetation all along the left, all along the back, and then the studio is to the right. I just showed you a shot of the back because you couldn't really see. It was kind of clouded, and so I just wanted you to see that there's a 6-foot fence behind there. No, is it 6 feet? 6 feet, yeah, it's tall. It's the standard fence with the lattice on the top, and I will show you that on the next slide. You guys were interested in seeing what the fence looked like. So I have to kind of push all that vegetation aside. I think there's a better picture in the next one, maybe, yeah. So you could see what the fence looks like. And should I continue on? Continue on. I coerced my husband to stand there to show you how high the vegetation actually is. And that's the left side. And then I made him stand in the back to show you what the vegetation was. So he's like, you're not making me do this. I said, oh, yes, you are. So, and then if you continue, is that the last of it? Let me see. That's the last of the photos. So there's really no way to see it. So thank you for showing that. So this is the property, and in the back, that is where I'm proposing to put the spa, which is set kind of back. It's 7 feet from the back, and 5 feet from the right. And when I first came here, I had to get a site plan. We're selling our house, so I can't find anything, but this is a site plan, and you were asking also about where's the equipment going to go. So we had a long conversation with pool people, and they said it's the best place. It's a 3x3 piece of equipment that's going to go under the deck, and then right in front of it, after the deck, would be the heater. And yeah. There you go.
And you give size of the spa.
Also, the specifications, can you go back to the specifications, which I think were the beginning? So the size was going to be a 9x16.5, which actually may be 16, but I just wanted to put down, it's 148 square feet, where the spa has to be 150 or less. The depth, my husband wants to have it above ground, a foot and a half for safety reasons, in case, kids or whatever. So the depth would be 54. It has an automatic cover. And those are the dimensions of the gas heater and the spa equipment.
Okay, and the depth of the spa is, that's the water depth, 54 inches?
The actual The actual spa is 54 inches. I
Okay,
don't, yeah, the water depth is below that.
okay, so
But it's a foot above, so I don't know how.
no, it's, we'd like to know how deep the spa itself would be. If you have it a foot above ground, it doesn't change the depth of the spa.
Right, okay.
All right, so that is your request.
Yes.
And have we got any other questions, or shall we go right on to
I
Val?
have a question, Madam Chair.
Okay, what do you got?
I wanted to know what the material was of the pool and if there is any other landscaping around the pool, such as bluestone or something.
We actually have gone back and forth on that. Is there something you prefer or don't prefer? We were thinking grass initially, and then we thought, well, maybe, up towards the house would have the bluestone. I'm not sure what your do you have preferences?
Well, that might be a personal thing, but I mean, it would be nice not to have too much hardscaping. That's why I was wondering.
Right.
If there's
I
something I wasn't seeing on the.
Yeah,
your
we,
plan.
We prefer not to have a lot either.
yeah,
Right,
that's not
but
our,
I'm assuming you will have something around like coping of some sort. like
Right,
that one.
exactly.
So I'm just wondering, before we talk about it, what might that be? Would it be like 1 foot of bluestone of some sort, or?
Probably.
Right now in the back, and there's no photos of it, but where there is any hardscape, it is bluestone. It's 2x3 bluestone in the back. So we would.
So something simple like that.
Yes, yes.
I'm ready to go, Madam Chair, if you want.
Excuse me.
Okay, Abby, go along.
I think Carrie had a question too, though,
You
sorry.
answered my question with your question,
Oh.
or you asked my question with your question.
Oh, what's the?
Madam Chair, I have comments on HSAB, just real quickly. They're not relevant because they made comments on the 17th of May, and this was reviewed at the meeting on June 11th and they updated their site plans since then to what you see in front of you. So the comments that they have are irrelevant.
All right.
For the record.
So, okay. Abby, do you want to begin?
Yeah, I'll just say quickly, I think in lieu of where this is, which is, it backs up to the White Elephant and it's got Nantucket Hotel across. It's residential, it's historic, but it's got a sort of a mixed neighborhood. So, and the size, I mean, I think these owners have been very specific and very sensitive about what they're doing, and I'm okay with their application.
Okay, thank you. Val?
Ditto. I'm good with it.
Carrie?
Ditto, is that a word?
We'll take it.
Wait.
Johnny?
Comment?
On the spot.
I think the visibility is very low on this, and it's perfect place for it. It's in the back, it's all hidden, and I think it's ready to roll. So I'll make a motion to approve it as submitted.
Thank you
All right.
very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Johnny. So the motion has been made to approve as submitted. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's good. You have passed. Thank you very much for your time to come.
Big chicken.
Well, this is my role. Let's figure this out. All right, thanks a lot. Okay, folks, we're on to new business of June 21st. A watershed moment. Okay, so now we're back to the regular board. Unless there's a conflict, which there will be shortly. Okay, 14 Sun Island Road.
Good evening, everybody. So this project actually was originally approved by the HTC back in May of 2017.
Oh.
The owner put a hold on the project because they were contemplating a new roof at the time. They have finally got their new roof on and they are ready to move forward.
Right.
So there is, essentially, this is the same that was proposed and 4 years ago. Same building,
Yeah, so really the only reason you're in here, Tim, is because it lapsed.
exactly.
Motion to approve.
Yeah.
For God's.
Okay, so the motion on the table to approve this guy that lapsed, it would have been automatically renewed if you had come in a year earlier. But so on the motion, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, good.
Thank you very
Guys
much.
have it. Okay, next one, Tim. You're 1 for 1. Actually, you're 2 for 2.
I like those numbers.
Okay, 56 Mile Common.
So, right, let's go forward. So on this project here, we're on Maya Comet Ave. It's, the panels are being placed on.
I
the-
couldn't find them
Shall I-
in their pack.
Let me know when you're ready.
We don't quite have, we're not at the speed just yet.
Okay.
She might have taken it.
What did you do?
My window was thing on spas. I was gonna keep it, but it got. Okay.
All right.
Good to go?
Well, I'm still not sure. Okay, so what happened to that? Okay. Trying to run forward. Wait, it's more solar. It's on 56 Mile Common Ave. Right.
Facing the pond.
Right, so we're on 56 Maya Comet
Correct.
Ave. We are placing panels on the rear of the property. And if you scroll down on the presentation there, all the way to the next page, thanks, Kadeem. You can see there that this is taken from the driveway, which is the only view that you have of the property. And you can see, you can't see the panels at all. You can't see the rear of the property. That's actually sort of like a garage there. That's not the property that we're placing the panels on. If you look, there's a yellow arrow on the right-hand picture. Sorry, Kadeem, the right-hand picture there. That behind that elevation is where the panels are going. So they're completely invisible from the public way.
Say that again. Tim.
How about from the pond?
Yeah, how about from the pond? Because I can see the house from the pond.
So I did go down, is it Maya Comet Road that's on the other side?
Yep.
You can see that there's just too much vegetation. So you can see, look at the amount of vegetation between the pond and the house. It's very heavily vegetated.
Yeah. So did you say it was not visible from Mile Common Ave? Tim? Is that what you
Correct.
said right before? Okay,
Yep.
thanks.
No, because it's on
On the backside.
It's the pond.
Got it. Okay. Any questions, problems, comments on this? If
I
not,
think I would be surprised if you can't see it from Maya Comet Road. It's wide open. There isn't heavy vegetation between the back of his house.
Diane,
Yes,
the panels are on the back roof.
I know where they are. The man who
How are
owns
you
that,
gonna see through the building? Oh, I'm sorry, Mile Comet Road.
Over here.
you
So,
look straight across the pond. What I'm asking is, can you see it from the pond? Because Maya Comet Road is a public road.
so no, you cannot,
For the same reason. you
for the
can't
same
see it in
reason.
the
You've got
pond.
all of that vegetation there. It's very, as you can see from the pictures, that it's very, from that satellite view, it's very heavily vegetated.
Mr. Chairman. I'm not on it, but can I just get a clarification on that slide? The panels will not be visible at all. I know that's a typo, but I just want to make sure.
Oh, yeah. Will
not.
Oh, it should be will not, yes,
Diane,
yes.
have you finished?
Just to be there.
Yep.
Yes?
Yes,
Oh.
I'm,
Okay, thank you. Anybody? Yeah. Okay, John's made a motion to approve the panels as submitted. All those in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
aye.
It's a wood
Diane-
roof.
Diane's opposed. Was that the one opposition?
I just asked it, was it a wood roof?
Answer.
Yes,
I believe it is.
Would we?
Yeah.
Does that change your vote?
Yeah, because then they're more visible. So I'll go with Diane.
Okay, so 3 in favor, 2 opposed, motion carried.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Okay, now I need to sit off with the next 2. Yeah, you were.
Oh, I didn't vote.
That's it. All in favor. I can't keep track. We're not doing roll call. Were you in favor?
No, I was gonna ask a question about it, but never mind, it doesn't matter.
Okay, so Diane, can you, oh, I'm sorry, Kathy. You actually share the next 2 because they're my questions.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go sit
Oh, hello,
off in the
America.
corner.
You want to look with me or you want your own?
I'll take the it's the regular board minus you need an alternate. What do you want on this? Steve, you want?
Yeah, what the heck?
What the heck?
Welcome to the HTC. America.
Thank you. Well, I was looking forward to this.
Welcome to the HTC, Stephen. Thank you.
So this is application for the pool located at 18 office. I included photographs from the street, from the bike path, kind of show you the visibility. The big main house is framed, not fully framed, but you can see the first floor, and you can see if I go from the left side, so that's the corner from the left property corner, there is the existing curb cut, which will remain. As you can see, it's hard to see. I don't know if you can zoom a little bit more into those pictures, perhaps might help. You can see the shed there now, which will not be there, but actually the shed structure will be moved a little bit farther with the property. So from this existing driveway entry, you can also see the building. There is another, I tried to pick up the zoom in the second picture again. This is the side of the building where the pool will not be visible, plus it's lower with the grade. There is a big grading change towards the back of the property, so the pool itself it sits 4 feet lower than finished floor. Then the third picture is directly from the Poppies bike path. You cannot even see the main house. This is the second driveway entry, which will be fully planted. However, even at this point, you cannot see to the back of the property. So that's just to kind of describe the public visibility. For the design itself, it's again, it's a pool fully, it's a lap pool 18 by 44 with the infinity edge and automatic pool cover. As I mentioned, it's 4 feet set lower below the finished floor. So it slopes to the grade, and for a hardscape material, I'm using reduction stone, which again has been to have the side photos on the second page. It shows a little bit more of the detail for the full layout. Yeah, thank you. So it will be combination of the pool decks, as you can see in the first picture, and then Goshen stone, which is part of the. And we'll use local granite stone, natural. And any enhanced vegetation would be done by native plants, which are illustrated on the bottom of the page. Including zero there is always viburnum, all the good stuff, which we are doing.
Would anybody like to start? Oh, sorry, are you finished? Okay, sorry.
I'll go.
Okay.
Will this ever be visible from any publicly traveled way?
No, it is.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. That's all I have to ask.
Val, do you have?
I have no concerns.
All righty then.
Most of the group is submitted.
What about John?
John, are you okay with this motion to approve?
And one question, did you have a roll call?
Yes.
Where does it state it?
Where does it state it?
On the page number 2.
On page 2, John.
You can do the line from, on the top page. I'll go up.
Couldn't find it.
It's on the page 2 on the top, if you zoom into the blue notes, it's first on the plan, second page. I mean, or, yeah.
Oh,
You want,
Yeah.
want me to say anything or not? You don't need that.
Diane, are you on this?
Yes?
What do you want to speak?
No, I just wanted to wonder whether you wanted me to speak or not. I don't have any problem with the pool.
Okay. Well, we have a motion. All in, anybody opposed to
I'll
Steve's
make the
motion?
motion.
I think Steve made one.
Oh.
Anybody
Okay,
opposed?
It's fine.
No,
No, carries unanimously.
yeah.
Yeah, very much.
Oh, John did. John did.
What?
Ready? So this is application just for the hardscape, the site plan. It's a Quidnet, at the end of the Quidnet. And this property already has existing bluestone patio, which you can, I hope I didn't include it. It's the dash line where you see it, but we would like to move it. Yeah, thank you, Teddy. We would like to move patio a little bit closer to the more living space. And the material would be Goshen stone, again, big regular pieces. That's in the back, again, there would be barely no visibility. Enhanced screening, again, it's in the back. In the front, however, I would like to add a little bit beaver and kind of small little landing, which again will not be visible after the project is completed, because we would like to create a little garden for the client too. So that would be the blue mark from the driveway side. And I included a picture from the street, as you can see. Again, if we go from the left to right, yeah, that's the entry of the existing driveway, which will be pretty much in a single location. Then this is the head-on on the existing building, which will be, thank you, Karina, which will be reworked. And then you'll have an elevation from the bottom of the Quidnet Road, which is fully vegetated and very narrow with the privet. So we would like to enhance this privacy for this property with the adding some privet hedges and the garden, just like the abutted property have. And that's
Comments from the board?
I got nothing.
Carrie?
Quidnet's full of privet, and it's kind of sad that this one doesn't have a lot of privet, because there's such a nice beachy quality to less privet, but I get it. I just would be concerned about too much privet on that road, because there already is so much, and we lose the,
Scenic vista.
yeah, just the character of that little road where it's so casual and, but I don't have such a problem with the Goshen, so it's really lighten up on the privet at the street side. They can have their privacy on the back, but the street side, I would say,
What is
Bayberry and something lighter, not privet to enclose everything and make everything so hidden and
Yeah, and in a row, so straight.
yeah.
They're getting privatized.
Yeah, privatized.
There's a lot out there,
That's
but
very
it's,
good.
yeah, I think between the two properties, that's existing, right?
Yeah.
Um,
What do you suggest?
Bayberry, something less formal and enclosed on the street side.
Johnny, what do you think?
Yeah.
What did they hide?
Is there a difference between a Goshen paver or a Goshen patio?
The Goshen paver and fire is the same thing.
They're both the
It's a
same.
flat, yeah, it's a flat.
Thank you.
It's not just different shape.
Oh, they're all irregular.
Irregular.
Flats, it's not, yeah.
Paver makes a patio.
Diane,
Yep.
what's your
I
feeling?
was asking, what are they hiding on Norcross Road? That they have to have whatever that circular thing is right as you come in on the driveway. The 88 Quidnick goes just straight out. It's right there. What, I don't understand what you're hiding.
If I may answer.
Please.
There's already that existing privet along the property line from the neighbor's property. So it was just really finish it off and create a little, it's a mudroom entry, create little big knock. As you can see, the driveway entry and front door are still fully wide open. And again, if you would prefer to use different planting, I'm pretty sure we can entertain, but the idea is that we are not hiding, I'm not hiding anything, it's everything on the plan.
Thank you, Mirka. Do you want to make a motion, Carrie, about different
I would
vegetation?
approve it with the privet on the side, but not all the Norcross roads that I would say bayberry, something low, bayberry, rosa,
Maybe look concrete,
but not a wall of privet, sorry.
Yeah, natural vegetation maybe.
Are you okay?
That's okay, we can, yeah, absolutely.
Is that your motion, Carrie?
Yes.
Anybody opposed to Carrie's motion? Okay, that passes.
you.
Thank you.
All right, folks, let's see. Go to it solar.
Which motion is the schools, yeah.
Balance.
Oh, the valve. Yeah. and then-
After that, like nobody.
And of
Hey,
course, it's facing the street.
Karen. Oh, that's not me.
Atlantic Avenue.
Yeah. Karen, you ready?
Atlantic Ave, it's for Janet and Dan Flanagan, who are here with me. And as you can see, there's a very high privet hedge. And blocking most of the roof. The solar array is one large rectangle, and it covers the portion of the roof that it's on. And that's all. There's-
I hate when she does this.
Is that it? Just start.
Well, I will, because I'm always the bad guy.
Not always.
Well,
Most of
it does, the guidelines that we have say not on the front of the house. And I see that there's a hedge, but you can still see the roof, so. I,
dare say you're against it, right?
well, it doesn't meet our guideline.
Understood.
I'll go next.
Thank you, Val. Go ahead, Diane.
I'm with Val. That's on the front of the building. It's on facing out into the street. The hedge is not guaranteed, nor you can see right at the picture on the right-hand side where you got the two cars parked. You can see the roof plain as day.
corners. The high school.
Is there any way to mitigate it?
Okay, was that it, Diane?
Yep, that's it.
Thank you, Abby.
Yeah, I mean, this is right on the front of the house, right on the street, and so I don't think we don't have anything that does that. No solar panels do that, so far.
This
Okay.
is southeast.
Yeah, facing east.
How about southwest on the rear?
That would be northwest, south, like southeast, and then the other side's northwest.
Well, according to your cardinal point, the
Right.
front of the house faces east, which would mean the back of the house faces west.
It's a little southeast.
I should think they'd rather have panels facing west than east.
Would you mind if I comment?
No.
I mean, clearly against our guidelines, but it's such a shallow roof pitch that I think it's almost indiscernible that if we're on the back roof facing west and south.
Look at the picture of the road. You can see the roof, no problem.
It is on the front.
No, I'm saying, my point is that if we're on the rear.
Yeah.
There's,
You mean if it were?
if it were moved to the rear, it would be facing west and slightly north, but
Yeah.
not
Not
to
a-
any extent, given the fact that it's such a shallow pitch roof, that the roof pitch itself would create a disadvantage for the solar gain. It's very,
Right.
almost flat.
Totally.
That's nuts when she talks.
Thank you.
over me.
Yeah,
So it seems like that's a viable solution.
Uh-huh.
And it's also consistent with our guidelines.
Yeah.
And frankly, I think it is
You're gonna get.
inappropriate to
more
be
solar
submitting,
energy.
I think it's inappropriate to be submitting applications that are contrary to the guidelines unless you're looking for a test case in front of the select board. And if that's the case, you should state that up front, because it's disingenuous otherwise.
Okay, thank you. Diane, had you finished? I think so, right?
Yep, I said, I don't think it should be on the east. Go on the west, but not the east.
Okay, so you're not getting a lot of support from this side.
So I thought that could be the case, and it's not as ideal as east side, but I did make up, would you accept the other side? I made up
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
So
but
How about that, huh?
Would you like to show the race on the other
No.
side? I'll get that Diane is not here and you're not voted on the.
No, but if she's taking that and moving it to
Yeah,
the
no,
other side.
Diane,
Yep,
so Karen is saying because the house faces essentially one roof faces east, the other roof is faces west. She's
Yep.
saying or asking if we would be okay moving the solar array to the west side, which of course is the back of the house.
absolutely. I know what the house looks.
Okay,
and there are no
Karen,
stink
you
pipes.
know,
Stink,
We'll put one of those in the record, but we all get. what you're
And it's
saying.
even better because it's on the little roof too.
Yeah, and you get more volume. Okay, so, can somebody
Exhibit A.
make a motion on that one? I think we got lift off.
I see the
I make a
second.
motion to put it on the west side of the house
Yeah,
and the little roof.
okay. As for exhibit A, let's just say, can we just label that exhibit?
I
A?
did.
Yeah.
Oh, you did, okay.
Yep.
Okay, so thanks for that motion, Diane. All those in favor, aye, say aye.
I,
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, so John's gonna abstain, one abstention, 4 in favor. Thank you, Karen. Okay, next up, the Val Oliver Show.
yeah. I don't even have it in front of me.
We
My own plan.
The applicant has admitted. to
we have,
being
we have Barry White and Mike Jack.
Wait, so
Oh,
let me
I'm-
just write the notes on this. We're moving the array
I'll do it.
to
Yeah, why don't
the
you present Val?
west.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay. This is Gray Lady. You've seen. And down there this week, there's a lot going on there.
On the west.
Very large house on the corner.
I think we should start calling it Bell.
Give you the PowerPoint of all the houses that are there, but I did put some on the cover page. So I think you can see that it's in keeping with what's there.
Hey, who's this? Eric, you want this?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Gosh, sorry, so this is a new dwelling on 8 Gray Lady Lane, right? There you go,
We
John.
already okayed this one.
No, they're all fairly similar if you go back to the front page. They're all kind of gable forward because of the lots are long and skinny.
And that's what we're looking at now.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Anybody care to begin? on that?
Colors are white, white trim, wood grain, white door.
Anybody want to start?
I don't have any.
Start.
Oh, here. I've already looked at it.
Do you want me to start?
Yeah, go ahead, Diane.
Oh, okay. Well, I think it's a nice little house to fit in there. Fine. My only thought is if you go to the one to this front south, that is west, that is, I don't know what, that's got to be east. So it would be the north elevation, I guess. And the 3 windows up at the top of the gable, can they be any larger or is there some reason to have them small?
Which elevation?
Oh, that's the rear, which is not visible, I think.
Oh, okay, then that's fine. Otherwise than that, I don't have any problem with it. It seems to be fine. Thank you.
Okay, Diane, you're good?
Yep, I'm good.
All right, thank you, Abby.
My only. What's it called? Grief.
Grievance,
Grievance.
the only concern.
My only concern is, well, 2 things. The height is, it's almost 30 feet
The
and,
rest of them in there.
right, but I don't want, I mean, just because we did one, I don't want to make a whole bunch of it. I would really like to come down in height. And I think the fascia strip under the,
Oh, yeah, like a sub-break.
yeah, it's like, I don't quite understand why that's.
I think it's just a piece of trim. I don't take it off.
Well, I just
You
looked.
said it was white, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
gonna
so it'd
look,
be kind of, it'd be good if it were like just a solid piece of trim rather than 2 component pieces.
yeah, and it's making the,
On the rake as well, though.
Right, you can just
Like
get rid of
a
it.
shadow board, but it's not.
but I mean, I don't, 30 feet is high for, and every single one of these is gonna be 30 feet, so that's my concern. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Carrie.
I agree with Abby, but the neighborhood of Paul, and the buildings on. Got done a lot, so I feel like. That's all it ever come down, 2 inches. I'm okay with that.
Okay, thank you. John?
I find the drawing that I looked at here, it's appropriate for the neighborhood. Thank you.
Okay. I'm good. Did we decide that you're gonna get rid of, just have like
Yeah.
a single 1x8 rake instead of the whole thing?
Yeah.
Just because it's white.
Yep.
That's actually a good example of a single one. Yeah. It doesn't have the sub rake, which would be more white trim. You can drop some there. Maybe. Okay, so I'm okay with that one stipulation. You good with that? Just getting rid of the sub rakes?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'll tell them to erase it.
all right, thank you. Can I have a motion?
Motion to approve it.
Can we approve it without the sub rakes?
Okay.
I make a motion to approve as submitted without the sub rates.
Okay, there you go. There's Diane's motion, which is just what I was looking for. On that motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
And one abstention, 4 in favor, 1 abstention. Next up, 1 Goose Cove Way.
This was approved and has lapsed as a pool application. And in this new renewal, it's actually becoming smaller.
Already
I know they
approved.
have to go and get a special permit or whatever they do out in Nantucket, but that's all I have for you. Can't
So
see
it's
it.
gotten smaller.
Yeah,
You approved something on this site, and now you're coming in with something that's small.
correct.
Well, that seems pretty easy.
Did you want to hear Maticus?
Oh, sure, yeah.
It lapsed.
They say visibility is an issue, privet is not screened, year-round needs to be native and year-round to hide wire fence. Whereas pool equipment, is it an automatic pool cover? Then no wire necessary, it appears to be on outside of privet. Topo, grade change, question mark, no concerns about outdoor shower. If privet is allowed, the double
The shower's already
with
there.
wire.
It's approved for that.
Inside black vinyl, no length of fencing on the application.
Hey, folks, like, just to, I want to make sure I got this right. You're making a pool that was already approved smaller.
Correct. It's exactly the same application, but it did lapse.
When did it
So
lapse?
It just lapsed. in-
Well, under the COVID law, everything's been extended
No.
during the period of COVID.
No, and not for HTC.
I believe every permit under law.
That's why we had, like, I sent out extensions when we were closed, so,
All right.
yeah.
Well, but the sort of, thank you for that, Steve, this is an interesting point. It's a smaller pool.
Correct.
Okay, any comments on this?
I'm sorry, I need a larger locus
Oh,
map,
wait.
because I don't
You're
even,
missing
I don't know
something.
where this is, Val.
It's Goose Cove,
Yeah, sorry, I
Oh,
just.
which is
no,
where
then I'm
the
not gonna do that.
tennis courts used to be out there.
No,
If you'd like to view it, I think if you view it, you will see you can't see it. The house has been there now.
I'm just gonna
for 3
abstain.
years.
I think it's gonna go through. I'm just
Okay.
gonna abstain, just. I don't wanna hold it up.
John, what do you think?
Is that pool?
The pool is.
Staying?
No. That's just the site plan. It was already approved large. So she's just making it small.
Okay.
Okay. Does it have a roll top?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Diane, any issues?
Huh?
Any issues?
No, anytime they want to downsize a pool, they should get.
I know.
3 congratulations.
Gold star.
The front page, I think I have some
Okay,
pictures of
let's
the
see.
existing
So
vegetation. You just
you're
went
I'm gonna
past it.
abstain because I
See?
want, I have too many questions.
Who's sitting in on this one, Stephen?
Yep.
Okay.
Should I vote against this originally?
I don't
seem to
know.
remember that.
You voted against it?
Can you wait for me?
You're
Can you
sort
pull
of
the
last
other members?
person up.
Oh, I am.
Yeah.
What's our vote tally?
John's good, Diane's good, Abby's abstaining, I'm good.
I'm gonna abstain.
Okay, so can somebody give me a motion?
Make a motion to, as approved.
Okay, so Diane has now made a motion to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. John,
What was the motion?
to approve the pool small.
Fine.
John's in favor, so that's 3 in favor, and I believe we have 2 abstentions, correct, folks?
Yeah, I think I abstained on this.
Okay, all right, so 3 in favor, 2 abstentions, motion carries. All right, so no Robbie Newman. In fact, there's one person sitting way in the back.
I don't think he's gonna make that person.
There.
10 minutes.
So, okay, let's see what we can do. So, gosh, do we need to, so we would need to hold everything up until 10 Hydrangea Lane.
Yeah,
Is that okay?
yeah.
All right. that
I
should-
make the motion to hold 8 through 12 for representation.
Right. All those in favor of Val's motion, say aye.
Aye.
We're holding all of these applications up to here. These are getting held because there's nobody here. Brooke's here for this stuff, so we're gonna move forward with Brooke, okay? All right, Brooke, go.
All right, just a point of clarification, there are not 4 applications for this lot. There's
Good.
only 2. And even though the pool is not up for consideration right now, it's the house. There was a building right next door with a pool that was approved very recently, to my knowledge.
Yep,
On
on 8.
On 8, thank you very much. And this building is similar to the rest of the buildings in the subdivision. It's actually 25 feet. And I don't know what else to say, but if you, I think there's some photos in this as well. So you can take a look at.
That's the same one. There's only, yeah, that's it.
Yep, so you can see the streetscape there.
Can we go back to the plan? I think it's perfectly appropriate for what's in there. Exactly. They might want to.
How many pools are,
One across the street and one right next door. And one down at the end of the couple.
And there's no other room for others, to my knowledge, Abby.
No, all the lots are sold now.
Yeah,
What about the colors, Brooke?
I can't remember what the app says.
Are black sash, platinum gray trim, and black doors.
Yeah, so there you are. Very subdued.
Okay, do we have Wisconsin advisory on this?
Because we didn't think we were gonna get this far.
Ha!
So
I think they loved it.
Hey, it's not dissimilar to what's in there, so.
It is very, very similar.
Can I make one comment, though?
Sure.
I just, I'm fine with the architecture. I hear the 12 by 20 foot pool. The only thing that I think is a little harsh is the black. What if it was all gray?
Yes, I mean.
I mean, you didn't even know what color it was. until we asked.
Onyx.
I think gray is better than black.
There are some black ones in there.
Is onyx, what's onyx?
We're getting black all over.
Metal gray.
Oh, yeah.
dark gray.
This is softer than black.
Oh, you mean for the front door?
You said that.
Yeah, it's their Andersons. They come in,
Oh.
they come in black and green and red and
White.
then white and then
Not-
black.
not
There's like
gray.
3, yeah, there's like a sand tone and.
Paratone and-
All right, I got
God
you.
awful.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'd rather not go white, and that's why.
Oh, right. Was that your question, Abby?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
If they were wood windows, then yes, I would definitely. entertain those
Comments?
colors.
Anyone?
I know this area very well, having just done 3 houses in there, and this is in keeping with everything that's in there. And there are at least one that has black.
Is there?
Yeah.
Yes.
This is for Ted, right? Ted?
This is for Ted.
Yeah, Ted Brown. I have no concerns.
Okay, thank you. How about you, Diane?
I have no concerns. I think it fits in. I just wish it wasn't going to be black because I think it's
Okay.
a lot of color for the house. But anyway, I won't fight.
All right, that sounds great. Thank you, Abby.
I would prefer like a color like green or something, so I'm gonna abstain.
Okay, John? Well, you have any concerns with the design?
No.
No concerns? Okay, I think we can have a motion.
I would make a motion to approve.
Okay, as submitted. I
Yeah.
suppose. Okay, so Val has made a motion to approve as submitted. On that motion, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, and we got one abstention, right, Abby? Okay, 4 in favor, 1 abstention. And you said there was only 2 applications here, is that right?
Correct.
It was just printed twice.
So this is pool and hardscape that we're looking at now?
Yes. And I've included a pergola as part of it just because it helps conceal the pool.
Sorry, 1 second.
Pergola and a pool.
No.
And this house right here is the one I just did that had the add-on, and they have the pool.
So every now and then, I was listening to the YouTube channel, and every now and then there's someone speaking Saravachi. And I can hear exactly what you're saying.
Oh, very nice.
Just-
I hope it was something I said.
Oh,
It was what?
Saravachi. Voice.
Oh,
Under your breath.
Either that or just.
oh, it was probably me.
Turn the mic off.
We might be in golden moments tonight.
I don't think I did any of that.
We've been a little chatty over here.
Okay, all right, so here we are with the pool for same piece of property. With a pergola.
I trust you would let me know if I'd said anything.
Yeah, I'm not,
I think it was maybe though.
yeah, I put it out of my mind.
So here you go, John. Hydrangea, what?
No, this is.
Yeah, number 2. That's right, pool and hardscape. So it's in the back of the property, budding I think that's golf course land there. Yeah, so there's the pool.
Oh,
right
that's
there.
this one.
Yes, exactly.
You have a roll, you have a roll.
Let me ask.
I know how to take
Brooke? Roll top.
Anesthesiologist.
Is that, yes,
Auto cover.
yes.
Yes. There is a roll top. Any comments, questions on this application?
Not.
No.
Everybody good?
Yeah.
Just made a motion to approve.
Roll it up.
All those in favor of John's motion to approve this application, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? No. Motion carries. No, so Brooke, these other 2 were fakes.
They were, yes.
So do you want to keep going?
No, I'm going.
Oh, okay, we'll break a few minutes early.
Great.
It says lot 5, 10 Hydrangea Lane, lot 5.
Yeah, it's just a repeat.
Okay, well, that's good.
Typed in.
Our agenda just got two things shorter.
Wow. I wish I could say there were 50 more exactly like
Yeah,
that.
when that's wonderful.
We've got
You should roll the
98.
toilet in the pool.
Those 2, so John.
I'm
these
leaving
2
now.
are
I'm gonna go let the dogs out.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Those are-
Ab's leaving.
Okay, everybody, Kathy, I think, so we're wrapping now, thank you, Brooke. We're gonna all go home and enjoy our wine and such. Do we want to take care of any other business before we?
2 minutes?
Yeah, I know, 2 minutes.
I make a motion to adjourn.
All
I'm
right.
with you.
All right, sounds good. So Mr. McLaughlin has just made a motion to adjourn for the evening. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Been a long night.
Yeah, it has been a long night, but we actually covered a lot of ground.
Diane, I'm going to end the meeting, so you will be disconnected, okay?
Okay, good night,
Okay.
Diane.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
bye.
This month. Yeah.
Bye, Diane.
Night, good night.